And we are live. What's, excuse me, starting with a cough. That's a great way to start. What's happening, everybody? Hope everyone is having a phenomenal, fantastic Monday. Here we are. It's the middle of June or July. Let me get to the right month even. I can't even talk right today. I think it's because I shot a lot of videos earlier today. I'm trying to get ahead of schedule with some videos coming out and have some great content definitely coming in the future for you all. But with that being the case, I've done a lot of talking today, but hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully our internet lasts and stays up tonight. We just had a really strong storm go through the area. Crack of lightning and thunder hit so loud the whole building shook here at the office probably about 4 minutes ago. But we're going to get going. Tonight we have an awesome guest that's going to be joining us here in just a couple minutes. His name is Jarrett Hucks. He is the creative arts pastor at Beach Church, which is one of the largest churches here in the area, and he is a local native. But the man has a ton of information about the area. And all around random knowledge and useless trivia knowledge that you may want to know about Myrtle Beach. He's going to be here to help us answer it. Hopefully everyone is joining in right now. I see a couple people starting to come online right now, which is awesome. Merritt's here already. He says, "What's up? What's up, Merritt? Thanks for joining us today." And guys, as we get going, if you have questions, just like every time we do one of these lives, drop them in the chat. Put question in front of it if it's something you want us to answer, and we will do our best doing it. But like I do when I start most all of these, I want to start out this week with kind of giving you an update of where's things going right now in the current real estate market here in Myrtle Beach. And so with that being the case, I'm going to pull up. We'll put Jarrett back in the box for a minute. Go back in the box. And he's laughing at me. I'm going to mute him too, just so we don't hear him there. Bam, all at once. I have all the power. This is awesome. But let's talk about what's happening here in the market in Myrtle Beach. As you can see, things are still going pretty strong. The median sales here from last year has increased 28%, which means, like I've said for months, pricing continues to go up in our area. If you're thinking about buying a home here in the area, I would highly recommend doing it sooner rather than later, because prices just keep going up, 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 up each and every month. If we go and we looked here at the rest of the stats for single family homes, the closed sales are up 34% over last year to 749. Pendings are down just a slight bit, but it's still 712 versus active listings on the market. Look at this, guys. We closed 750, 712 went pending, but there's only 699 pending or active homes on the market. And if you look, it's down 62%. That is huge over last year. Days on the market also here in the Myrtle Beach area is down a huge amount, 56 days. So homes aren't lasting. Things are coming on the market. They're selling as fast as they get on. And it's crazy, especially in single family. If we look at the condos are basically the same way. Closed sales are up 45%. Pendings are up 12%. Listings are way down. Days on the market is also way down. And the median sales price has increased up to $172,500. So like I said, guys, if you are thinking about making a move to the area, you want to maybe consider doing that sooner rather than later. If it's something where you're not able to make the move right away, you're looking for something for once you retire, consider maybe purchasing the property right now, putting a tenant in there to rent it for a year or two, help them pay the mortgage during that time. But getting it at today's prices is definitely going to be a huge savings in the long run, I think. But now that we got through that, let's get into tonight's topic and tonight's guest. And I'm going to bring him in here. There he is. I got to unmute him now too. But everybody say hello to Jarrett Hucks.
I'm just kidding.
What's happening, Jarrett?
What's going on, Jeremy?
So Jarrett is, like I mentioned, he is the creative arts director and pastor at Beach Church here in town. You're a native to the area.
I am.
But something that people also should know you are also my secret weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. I've been able to help Jeremy with his videos for I don't know a few months now, and I've had a lot of fun being able to shoot these videos and watch you make all the mistakes you normally delete so people can't see.
Yes, he's already going to start. So yes, Jared helps me shoot and edit all of the videos. So anytime where the video doesn't work right or there's a typo on the screen, it's not me anymore. It's all on him.
There we go.
But
you
like
fix a lot of those for me too.
Yeah. So like I said, Jared is the creative arts director over at Beach Church. There's a picture of him you can see doing his thing over there. Tell everybody just a little bit about yourself. We don't need to take a long time on it, but tell everybody who you are and where you're from, what you're about.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, my name is Jared Hucks. I'm the creative arts director at Beach Church. But before that, and I have been a native to this area my entire life. I have always called Myrtle Beach or Conway home. I was born here, and I went to school here. I got married here, and now I'm raising a family. And it's so much fun to be able to just say, man, I remember back when things weren't like this. And it's just crazy how much things have changed over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, there's definitely been some changes in the area. I've lived here since 98. And, we talked about it in my video today, even how when I went to school out at Coastal Carolina, I lived up in Briarcliff Acres. And so to get to school, there was no Highway 22. There was no 31. There were no shortcuts. The overpasses were not in place on 501. So I would have to leave. If I had a 10 o'clock class, if I didn't leave the house by 7, some days I would not make it to class. Then, of course, there was the infinite time I will never forget. I was on my way home from a class, and a truck that was pulling a manufactured modular home down 501 jackknifed and dropped the modular across 501. And everything was shut down, and there was nowhere for me to turn around to go take a detour or nothing to get over to 544 or anything. And I sat there for 3.5 hours. Did you ever have something like that happen to you?
It's really funny that you say that, because on my way here to my office to do this video, I thought I was going to have to call you and tell you I was going to be late. And the reason why is because when I was coming down George Bishop Parkway, I get right here to the church, and directly in front of the church is a 3-car pileup. Anyway, one car hit another that then hit another, but apparently he hit her so hard that the car in the middle wasn't even touching the ground. The tires were off the ground. She's just being suspended by the car that hit her and the car she hit. And the traffic was just like, unseeable towards the corner. And I was like, I'm going to be stuck sitting here waiting for this to dissipate. But thankfully some guy went to go change lanes and I was able to get through. So, but yeah, today. Good. I had that happen today.
That's definitely good, and the video will be coming out actually not this week, but next week, where I'm talking about some of the roads in the area that you want to avoid, when you want to avoid them, and stay away from them at all costs. In the meantime, let's see. We have a couple people here jumping in. Let's see here. Tess Journey says, "Hey, what's up? Hello, what's happening?" They have made their 3rd offer this month on a home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fingers crossed. We're fingers crossing with you. I've had a couple buyers like that have had those same type of issues. It's tough, and, it's an unfortunate thing right now, but you can get one. It's just a matter of getting through to do it. Let's see. There's another comment that came in here already. Jeremy, any advice to a 22-year-old Canadian and his 3 friends for their first trip to Myrtle Beach in September, hitting the Gamecocks home opener too? Love the channel. Jared, I'm going to let you give them some tips.
Absolutely.
You're a little bit closer. You're a little bit closer to the 22-year-old age than me, so we'll let you do that.
Not by much, but yeah, man. I'm a Gamecock fan too. I would love to be going to the home opener, but I don't think we got tickets yet. But yeah, I would say one of the biggest things me and Jeremy were actually talking about today is the fact that you need a car if you're going to be here. I honestly, I feel like every bit of fun that you're going to have is going to be extremely limited without a car, because our public transportation and even things like Uber are kind of limited, especially when there's a lot of people in town. Granted, September is not going to be nearly as busy as a time like June, July, or August, but you're still going to have, traffic. You're going to have a lot of school traffic, things like that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of something like maybe to check out while you're here. There's always a good time down on the ocean. You're going to love places like, the area like 2nd Avenue Pier. It's just beautiful. I'm a big fan down there. There's all kinds of really great restaurants and nightlife, and that's always a good time.
I'm also a big fan, going over to Broadway. There's a ton of stuff. And, even I think he's still going to be running. But if you're into magic, that magic show that we highlighted a few months back, that's going to be pretty cool. I know there's a lot of like comedy clubs and stuff like that, nightlife things to do.
Absolutely.
For sure. You can't go wrong with just about any restaurant here in the area. Stay away, though, from the tourist trap ones, please. Just please. Yeah.
And you've put out some really great videos about the ones that are tourist traps that are fun and the ones that definitely aren't. So
yeah, and I've taken a lot of heat over some of those, but it is what it is. Yeah. But BB, stay around because we're going to talk about more restaurants in a little while. I've kind of got something fun that I'm going to throw at Jarrett here a little bit later as a rapid fire on places. Let's see what else we got going on here. Caroline says, hello, Caroline. Jarrett says hello too. Then Tass says Penn State. They're from my way, so they're Penn State fans up there. You're not going to hold it against them, I'm sure, right?
No, not at all. I mean, I got to say, like as a University of South Carolina fan, you have to be very forgiving, considering we can't seem to have a winning season. So I'm cool with anybody that likes to support their team because I'm having to support mine.
Yeah, I hear you. Broadway at the beach is where the young people stuff is, in my opinion. There's definitely a lot to do there. Just walking around, when we were over there shooting video a few weeks ago, I said to Jared, I said, you want to jump on the speedboat? And he's like, what? What?
Absolutely.
And so there's the fun speedboat to do. The pavilion, there's all those old school pavilion rides that are there too. That is
true. A lot of Myrtle Beach history there.
Yeah, there definitely is for sure. Let's see what else we got here. My wife and I are old. We love Myrtle is in the Marshwalk.
Hey, I love the Marshwalk too. In fact, Jeremy and I both have a friend whose band is going to be playing down there on the 25th down at Dead Dog Saloon. We're probably going to be heading out there to see it.
Yep. And let's see what else we have here. D'Amico says, question. Hi, what's in place of the Pavilion amusement park?
Nothing.
Honestly, there's nothing there.
They use it a lot, though.
It's used for a lot of things. The biggest thing that it probably gets used for is the country music festival. It is huge. I think they said this year they had 30,000+ people there.
It was huge.
Yeah, it was a massive, massive event over multiple days with a lot of big name country music stars in town. A lot of them for sure. Let's see what else. Kevin wants to know, are the Myrtle Beach Pelicans still playing down there? Yes, they are. I think they're now associated with the Chicago Cubs, maybe?
Yeah, they're a Cubs team.
They were Texas for a little while. They've been with Atlanta.
Braves.
They've been all around, yeah. Let's see here. Then Taz says, nice, we saw a band there last weekend when we were down. And we ate at the new restaurant Mojo's as well. See, Jared, like I said, we just start getting to conversations. We will get to the stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with you.
It's fun along the way. But yeah, you're welcome for answering it. So let's keep the questions coming. Please do. But we're going to jump into a couple things here that we kind of planned out a little bit ahead of time to go over. But one of the questions and things that we talked about let's get on the right screen here. And let's make this a little bigger so you all can see it. But one of the questions people wanted to know is what should we talk about on our live stream this week? And we had 102 votes come in. And the number one thing people wanted to talk about was favorite local restaurants. A couple people wanted to know about things to do in the area. And the other thing that people wanted to know about is unknown historical things about the area. So, Jarrett, we're going to talk about some history for a little bit. How's your history?
I am, well versed in useless knowledge. In fact, I minored in it in college.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. But it is definitely something that comes in handy in very, very slight situations, something like a trivia night or just, coming up with weird things to talk about, things like today.
Yes, I have decided if I ever go to trivia night somewhere, you have to go with me.
Yeah, man, I'm going with you. I love trivia.
So, all right. Well, let's jump into this for a second, and I'm going to show a couple things here and kind of talk about it. First off,
Sure.
useless knowledge about our area.
Okay. All right. I actually have a couple of really cool things to talk about here in the flag. These are interesting. All right. So now our flag obviously is like a blue background, and then it has a palmetto tree, and what would you say is in the corner?
This?
Yes.
That's a crescent moon.
A crescent moon. And see, you would find that most people call that a crescent moon. In fact, our logo is called the Palm and Moon. But little known fact is that is not a moon at all.
What?
It is not a moon. So here's actually what it is. South Carolina infantry, a long time ago, actually had an emblem on the top of their hats that had a crescent-shaped moon. Now, it looked exactly like that, except it was facing more like a U shape. So like the 2 points were up on the ends.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so that stayed on the caps of their hats. And that is actually in reference to a piece of body armor when people wore body armor in like, medieval time, like knights, things like that. It was called a gorget. It was actually it was kind of a necklace, and it rested right here. So it covered up your neck in between your helmet and your breastplate. So yes, and we call this the Palm and Moon, but it is actually not a moon at all. It's just called a crescent, and the crescent was on the hat of the South Carolina infantry, and that was paying homage to the gorget, which was actually a piece of medieval armor.
Interesting, to say the least.
There's a piece of useless knowledge for you there.
There you go. So let's see though. Before I get to this next one, I want to see how well those watching tonight in the audience, how well they know knowledge of the area. So I want to ask, who does everyone think is the most famous celebrity ever to come from the area? If you think you know who it is, drop a comment, tell us who you think it is, and yeah, we'll see if anybody knows this answer tonight. I know you know it.
Oh, yeah.
I only knew this because of when I moved to the area. They had a sign as you entered into North Myrtle Beach, and it said, "Welcome to North Myrtle Beach, home of," and gave their person's name. While they're typing that, let's see here. It's what
I love this.
I can't wait to be anointing and tell people that when I moved down there.
Well, here's another piece of call it useless knowledge, but this will actually come in very handy when speaking to locals. Many people, when they move down here, think it is Horry County because there is an H at the beginning of it. But actually, our county was named after a man named Peter O'Ree. O'Ree. So when you hear these Southerners talk, it's not this foghorn leghorn kind of drawl in their voice that makes them talk like that and say we're in O'Ree County, but it actually is O'Ree County, even though it is spelled Horrry.
Interesting. So let's see here. We have a guess. Herb says Hootie.
That's a good guess.
It's a good guess, and he's famous from South Carolina,
but not from here.
But not from locally here. He said. Then somebody said, "Oh yeah, it's Darius Rucker." Nope, it's not Darius Rucker.
By the way, that people don't know that Hootie and the Blowfish, Darius Rucker, now of country fame, came and they formed their band in the University of South Carolina. So those that don't know.
You are just a wealth of knowledge tonight. Merritt says Vanna White, and Victor says Vanna White as well. And well, we have to show, yes, it is her, the one, the only, Vanna White. She is probably one of the most famous females ever in game show history. Would you say? Would you agree
Oh,
with?
absolutely. Well, I mean, like when you have, an action kind of name, like when your name becomes like a verb, like, hey, I'm going to Vanna White this and just kind of stand here and point at things. Like, like you've definitely made an impact on, cultural phenomenon, which is kind of cool. And the fact that like her name is on the sign in Little River, like home of Vanna White, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, it used to crack me up when you would go there and you're driving up through and it says home of Vanna White, and you're like, what? Who? What?
Yeah.
But
They should
yeah.
have her like standing beside it doing this, like a cutout, like
Oh,
she would do.
that would be kind of funny. Yeah, Tass, I think I did say it recently in a video for sure. So, all right, let's see some other history here in town. And I've never been to this place myself to eat, but I'm guessing you might have been there once or twice in your life.
Fun fact: I have never been to Mammy's Kitchen.
No?
No, I'm never there when it's open, basically because I'm never in downtown Myrtle that early.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's only open nowadays for breakfast or so, isn't it?
Like, I think it's breakfast and maybe lunch, but I'm not 100% sure on lunch.
Yeah.
But Mammy's has been around a very long time.
But while we're on that topic, Jarrett, where's a good place where if I want some good, kind of, because isn't it kind of like a meat and three in there too? I think diner.
Not 100% sure on that, but if you want a meat and three, I can tell you about a meat and three.
Well, we'll get to that. You keep your meat and three for just a minute, and we'll definitely get into those. Tass said, "I want to go there so bad." Go, come on
Absolutely.
down.
Yeah,
for sure. All right. So if you guys have questions, keep asking them. Put them in the comments down below. And while we're doing that, I'm going to have a little fun with Jarrett for a few minutes. And we're going to play a speed round.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Kind of like we're doing like true trivia night fashion, right?
All right. Let's do it.
So, all right, here we go. We should probably do this first. We probably should give some parameters. Let's do that first. So here's the parameters. It has to be local stuff. It cannot be a franchise chain, national chain type of thing. If it's regional, we'll allow it, but we don't want national stuff. All right?
I'll do the best I can, my friend.
All right. So that being stated, first one, best place to get a burger.
Burger. Okay. Burger. Art Burger is pretty good. That is down on Ocean Boulevard. And also I would say Handley's in Carolina Forest. Great burger.
Yes. I'm also a big fan of Hamburger Joe's.
Okay. Yeah. I've only been there a time or two, but I did enjoy it. Yeah.
One thing that's interesting, if you go to Hamburger Joe's, have cash.
True. Yeah.
They
use it as wallpaper there.
Yep. It's kind of
There's another fun fact.
Yep. The next one.
Really quick, can I just mention that because I think that's really cool. Like Hamburger Joe's, they had these dollar bills kind of pasted all around the walls. When COVID happened, what they did was they took all the money down and split it up and gave it to their employees because they couldn't afford to keep them in employment. Wow. So they used that to kind of like supplement their income. I just thought that was really awesome.
That is pretty cool. That definitely is very, very cool. All right. Next one. Okay. Italian.
All right. There's a couple of options and it depends on who you ask. Now I like Crave, which is kind of on the northern end, not quite Restaurant Row, but like 50, 60, 70 Avenue. I can't remember exactly where.
It's about 60th Avenue. I think you're right on there.
And then just south of that is Cafe Soleil, and there's a lot of people that love it there. Me and my wife enjoy Crave. We went there for our anniversary. It's like in the mid price range. I wouldn't call it cheap. I wouldn't call it super expensive either. It was, we probably spent maybe $70, $80 the two of us. Dessert was ridiculously awesome. which is the thing that's kind of stuck in my brain. I might have to. I don't know if you've got dessert on this list, but that's definitely probably the place I'd send you. Now, I will say that there is another place on the south end. So if you're like closer to Myrtle's Inlet, there's a place called Cafe Piccolo. And I will say this: I used to do a lot of food photography and stuff for publication, also for marketing purposes. And Cafe Piccolo has the cleanest kitchen I have ever seen in my life. And they make everything from scratch there in house. And it was just, man, it was just amazing.
Interesting. I would probably say for me, one of our all-time favorites is Villa Romano, right in downtown Myrtle Beach. Have you ever been there?
I have, but it's been a long time.
And the guy with the accordion that comes around, what's his name? I think his name was Mike. He'd come over to the table and he'd bring his accordion over and drop it down. How y'all doing? You know, and he would talk to you for a while and entertain you. But it is a great little spot for Italian. Also, guys, I should mention this. If while we're talking, if there's one that you think is better than what we're saying, drop it in the comments because we may be not totally thinking straight at the moment. It's quite possible. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, sure.
So, all right.
In fact, I've seen a couple of things in the comments. Like Herb said, Dagwoods. Dagwoods is awesome.
Yes, for a sandwich. If I want a sandwich, that's where I go.
Well, if I'm gonna go for a sandwich, it's gonna be to Mr. Sub, but then maybe Dagwoods second.
All right, next. Chinese takeout.
Ooh, okay.
Where are we going for Chinese takeout?
See, this is the problem with Chinese. I feel like the one closest to me is usually the one I go get. I don't have. There's one in Carolina Forest in the shopping center, like the Kroger shopping center. I can't remember.
No. That's not the one.
That's not the place. That's not the one I like.
No, that's not the place to go.
Okay, all right. What's the place to go?
For me personally, and I think it's probably one of the most popular Chinese takeout places around, is Dragon Pan right behind my office. If you have never had Chinese takeout from there, it is awesome. It is really good. But just realize when you call, if I called right now to make an order, I'd probably be picking it up around 8 o'clock because that place is that busy and pumping out Chinese food. There's also a good little Chinese takeout that I used to go to down in the Socastee area, right by the Food Lion down there. It's another great little Chinese takeout spot.
Had a bad experience.
Oh, no, let's not go there. But those are my two Chinese takeout places. So now that I give you a minute, where's your Chinese takeout?
Mine?
Yeah.
Okay. I know that you love Dragon Pan, and I've definitely heard great things about there. There's another place called China Dragon that Tom absolutely loves, but I haven't. I mean, I gotta say, man, I don't really eat that much Chinese food. Yeah, so like I don't eat it enough to have like a favorite.
Okay, we'll let you get by with the pass.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, next.
Ooh,
just a good old.
Okay.
We need a good old steak. Now,
okay.
We're not going to put any price point on this because we could break this down into price ranges and give you a whole bunch of different things. And maybe that's what we need to do here. But if I just want a steak, where am I going?
Okay. Well, I know what my answer would normally be, but you said local.
Yes.
I'm a big Logan's fan.
That's why I gave that precursor statement because I know you too well.
Sure. I love going to Logan's and stuff, and that's a family favorite because we know a lot of people there. But I would say out of all the places I've had a steak that were locally owned, Soho makes an awesome steak, and it's not what they're known for. They're a sushi restaurant, but man, I know people absolutely love the steak there, and I do too. Now, I did see that Taz said Rio's, and Rio's is also a favorite. I like going there, especially when
you haven't eaten for 3 days.
Absolutely, yeah. When I'm hungry, Rio's is the place to go. But also, they have like a cool Bible study thing on Thursday mornings, and I've gone to that several times, and it's been Rio's is great. I love that they are locally owned, even though they're very well marketed. They kind of seem like a chain.
Yeah, they definitely do. Now, I'm going to give you all three places on this for steak. First, I'll give you one on the northern end. Clark's Seafood and Chop House up in Little River is amazing. They make a filet Napoleon, which is Parmesan risotto with asparagus, a filet mignon on top of it, a crab cake on top of that with the cream and vinaigrette sauce over the top of the whole thing. It's amazing. Down in the Myrtle Beach area, New York Prime is beyond amazing. But here's the reality with New York Prime. I can't go there with my family because I would need to make a mortgage payment to eat there, number one. It is very expensive, but the service and the quality of the food you get is second to none. By far. You know, Catherine and I went there to eat, and I want to say it was $160 for the two of us. So it's expensive. And then the other one that I would say is out towards Conway, and it's been many years since I've been there, but Rivertown Bistro used to have a phenomenal filet dish that they did out there as well. Somebody also said Chuck's. I've never been to Chuck's. Have you been to Chuck's?
I've never been to Chuck's either.
I haven't, but I've heard it's pretty good. And then let's see here. Brian wants to know, what about Heroes? I can't move to a spot with bad Heroes. So give us.
Okay.
Give us
all right. So, Brian, if you want a real Euro, there's really only one place that I would go to, consistently, and that would be a place called Habibi's. Now, it's known as a pizzeria, but it used to be attached to a Lebanese market, and that Lebanese market has since moved, but it's owned by the same family. But the pizza place still sits by itself, and they have all kinds of awesome food, including fantastic gyros.
Have you tried? I think it's a little new Greek spot that's over there on 38th Avenue that went in like right next to the Bilo Shopping Center. Have you been there yet?
I have not, but I will say that
First Grill or something like that.
We do have a Greek Orthodox church here in town, and they have a Greek fest once a year. And if you want like fresh off the boat, real deal, old country Greek food, that's the only place to go.
Yeah. My wife's saying it is yum. I think she's talking about at the time we went to New York Prime. I think that's a hint. She's also saying we need to go back.
New York Prime's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. All right. Next topic.
Okay.
Seafood. Where are we going for seafood?
Nowhere.
Fresh seafood.
I don't eat seafood.
Oh, you fail me.
Yeah, me and my wife, neither of us eat seafood, so it's not something I have any knowledge on.
Fine, then I guess I'll have to step in here and take this one myself. First off, skip anything that has buffet in the name. That's step one. Step two to this. There's Sea Captain's House in downtown Myrtle Beach, right on the ocean. That is a nice restaurant. It has some great seafood. Mr. Fish, which is up, I want to say it's around 67th Avenue. They have good fresh seafood there. And then the other spots for good seafood, head down to Merle's Inlet, go down the Marshwalk, and there are multiple ones down through there for sure.
Okay, I actually have Jeremy and I both have a friend named Dylan who used to work with Wicked Tuna, and he's now in charge of the Wicked Marina there. But they catch things straight off and bring it straight in, and Wicked Tuna gets it as fresh as you can possibly get it from the inlet.
Caroline says, Mr. Fish. My wife says Harrelson Seafood Market. If you want to get seafood to take home to cook, definitely that's a great spot for it. But honey, we're talking about restaurants where you can go and eat. I know they used to serve some food there, but I think with the pandemic, they kind of cut most of that out. Herb says Bubba's Fish Shack in Surfside Beach. I've heard a lot of good things about that. And Merritt says to check out the Inlet Provision Company as well. So there's some more options for everyone to try also. There we go. See, I love it when we have audience participation. It makes things more fun. All right, next. Best place to get a slice of pizza, and don't you dare say the gas station that you got on the way back to your office.
No. That's like when you have to. if I want pizza, there's only like 3 places that I really consider pizza places in town.
CC's, Pizza Hut, and Papa John's, right?
Nailed it. No, one of them would have to be Habibi's that I mentioned before. They sell it by the slice. It's fantastic. I also like a place down in Merle's Inlet called Franco's. And, I was there when I did all their menu stuff right when they started and opened. So I've been eating there for a long time. I live in Conway. It's about a 40-minute drive for me. But when my wife was pregnant, she wanted pizza. And so I volunteered to drive 40 minutes one way just to go get a Franco's pizza and drive it back home. That's how much we like Franco's.
You suffered to get the pizza, huh?
Absolutely. And then number 3 would have to be Geno's. We have several Geno's here in town, but that is the most consistent New York pizza that's easily, gotten to instead of Franco's. But I mean, like I said, Habibi's is still my number 1. That's right down the street. We probably eat there maybe once or twice every week or two.
Nice. I would add to that list Scotto's Pizzeria, which is here in Carolina Forest. And as I said to you right before we started, we're gonna go get lunch there in the next week or so.
Absolutely.
And enjoy that. Scotto's Pizzeria is a great little spot. And up on the northern end in North Myrtle Beach, it has been there forever and a day. It is a dive hole in the wall type place. But King's Pizza in North Myrtle Beach has.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been there?
Once. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little scary when you're walking in the
door.
Yeah, because it's they haven't updated it in probably 40 years.
No, like it's got that like orange and red like striped awning and stuff. It looks like a circus.
Yep, but it has a giant sign up front, King's Famous Pizzeria. But it has really good the crust in pizza itself isn't real thick, and it's really good as well. My wife also mentioned one here that I don't know if you've ever been to this one, but have you ever tried Bellissimo's out in Conway?
I have not.
That's out in Conway, over by the post office and Food Line. It's in that shopping center. It's pretty good as well.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I grew up like just a couple of minutes away from that Food Line. And I've eaten at that pizza place, but it's been years and years.
We also have international guests tonight. Yeah. Greetings from Austria. Greetings to you. Thanks for joining in. It's pretty cool when we can get the worldwide audience coming in here.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Victor says he likes the mellow mushroom. Mellow mushroom's not bad, but once again, that kind of falls under the chain. So I threw that one out to the side. But, I can go eat that if I need to in a pinch. Let's see here. Merritt says he likes Michael's pasta and pizza. Okay. Michael's isn't too bad either. I've had that many a time. Victor does not agree with me. He does not like King's. I'm sorry, Victor. And let's see here. Tass says the best seafood place is Calabash. LOL. Haha. I think he's poking fun at the bear because I did the video about Calabash seafood buffets.
You did, yeah.
I was a little harsh in that one, wasn't I? Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. All right. Next category. Good old Southern cooking. Where are we going to get to some fried chicken, some biscuits, some collard greens? Where are we going?
Fun fact, I actually grew up in a meat and 3 kind of place. That was actually a country buffet. It was an all you can eat kind of place. But fried chicken, mashed potatoes, rice and gravy, green beans, pork chops, all that good stuff. And I grew up in a restaurant like that, so I don't want to call myself an expert, but I definitely have high standards when it comes to country food, man. When it comes to soul food, I have high standards. Now, there's only a few places really in town that I would consider even calling them soul food places. One of them is in the name. Big Mike's Soul Food on 16th Ave is absolutely fantastic. It was this awesome, local secret for the longest time. And now I think the last 2 times I've been, it's been so packed I couldn't even go. There were just too many people. There was like a half an hour wait for a table at lunch, which is ridiculous. But there's 2 other places that I would consider. One is in the old filling station. What is it called? On 10th Ave.
I know where you're talking about. Well,
Is it Southern Comfort?
Simply Southern or something?
Simply Southern. That's it. Simply Southern's really good. But out of all of them, the one that I think is probably the best out of all of them is Magnolia's. That's on 26th Ave on Ocean Boulevard. You can literally see the ocean from the front door. There's like a pressure problem with the front door because as soon as you open it, you get hit with the breeze coming off of the water. But the food is just absolutely bananas.
Yeah, and now that's a buffet, and it's one of the few that I would say to go to. But what's cool there is that they have daily specials. So like Thursday may be fried pork chop day, and Friday's fried fish day, and stuff like that.
And they are farm to table, which I think is really cool. So like they have local farmers that they work with. They're not just open up a can of beans they got from Cisco.
Yep. One other one that I would mention that I've been to before and it was pretty good was Victoria's Country Cooking down there in Myrtle Beach. Have you been there to that one?
Yeah, I've been to Victoria's.
I was gonna say you've probably been to everyone. If it has country cooking in the name, you've been there, haven't you?
Yeah. There is one that I would say is a little bit farther of a drive, but that's Raddu's on the other side of Conway, in between Conway and Aner, what we call UCLA.
Yep.
Upper Conway, Lower Aner.
UCLA, yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, and I don't have it on the list, so I'll throw it at you right now. Barbecue. If we want barbecue, where do we go to get it?
Barbecue, that's Raddu's, man.
Is it?
Yeah, man.
That's what I thought. See, I guess I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to this now because I can cook my own.
Sure.
That I only do it at the house. And you've had mine. How does mine compare? Is it okay?
I would say that probably the biggest thing that Raddu's has working for it for me is nostalgia. But it just tastes like home to me. Yours is good. Yours is very good. But I don't know. There's just something.
That's his way of saying mine isn't as good. That's what he's trying to get at right now.
He muted me.
I muted him and took him away.
No, I'm not saying yours isn't good. I'm just saying that like
it's okay.
Yours was very good. It just doesn't taste like something I ate when I was 5 years old.
I hear you.
Taz, I don't know what's up with mustard-based barbecue. I like vinegar-based all the way. That's the way to eat it.
Okay. She says, my wife says best place for country cooking is your house. I guess we're coming over tomorrow for country food at your place.
Come on down.
Let's see. I'm tuning in late. Did you already talk about Asian restaurants? Funny you mentioned that because the next thing on the list is Asian Thai restaurants. Where's a good place to go get some Thai food?
Okay. I can't eat Thai food for the most part because I am allergic to tree nuts, and there's a lot of tree nuts that are used in Thai food. But I didn't know that until last week when I went to a Thai food restaurant for the very first time. So I ended up going to a restaurant called Thai Lao. And it's really funny because there's two that are next door to each other. I don't think there's any other Thai restaurants in all of downtown except for maybe Black Thai. And there's two that are literally like smack dab beside each other. And I don't know how they've survived this long. They don't, I'm not saying that they make the same thing because their food tastes different, but they're making the same food. If you have a hot dog restaurant, you don't open up a hot dog restaurant next door.
Well, so here's let me make this a little bit even funnier for you because I know a little bit more of the history on this. So the one that's on the left, okay.
That's Thai Lao.
Yep. That used to be back in the day, a Hawaiian barbecue restaurant where they did kimchi and, Korean barbecue and all that kind of stuff.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. That shut down and Thai cuisine restaurant opened up in there. Then Thai cuisine moved next door to the building, to the place next door, which had opened up and was a Brazilian steakhouse, but it did not last long at all. And so Thai cuisine moved next door, and then Thai Lao moved in. And from what I understand, they're family members, I think, that own both of them too. So it's kind of really a weird thing. My personal place for Thai food,
it's usually like one or the other though. Because like I was with a group and like half the group knew we were going to Thai Lao and half thought we were going to the other one. And so some people were like, oh man, this food was awesome. And then some people were really disappointed and said the other was better.
See, because I will be one that would say Thai cuisine's better. So
I'll have to take your word for it because I had a water.
Could you not at least had a bubble tea?
It's well, I don't know.
All right, let's see here. Back to some questions. Tass gave us fingers crossed, laughing at something.
She's pointing up about what Catherine said.
Oh, is that what it is? She's
I think
pointing up
so.
to about Asian restaurants, which we answered. Opinions on Waffle House. Open 24/7. Never. My question is this: why does Waffle House need a lock on the door when they never close?
It's true. Well, yeah, because especially like the FBI did that whole thing talking about like how bad places are if the Waffle Houses are closed. That's a real thing. You can look it up. But my thing is that like if it's I'm sorry, Taz, my bad. But if Waffle House has to close, none of us are there. Like the world is bedlam. Like the world has fallen apart if Waffle House is closed.
I think I've lived now in the area for 22 years, and I've only ever heard of Waffle House or Walmart closing, like not just closing early, but closing a few times, and that's been when a major hurricane's coming through the area, and it's like nothing's going to be available. Then they shut them down.
Yeah.
So. Let's see here.
The thing about Waffle House, by the way, is that is it going to be awesome? No, but it's going to be the same all the time. It's something you can always count on. It's very consistent.
So I guess the question should be, how do you get your hash browns?
Oh, with cheese and chili, and I usually regret it.
Covered and smothered and scattered. Has it go covered and smothered or scattered and splattered?
I think smothered is with onions.
Yeah, something like that. Tass wants to know what is up with the mustard-based barbecue. I don't know. He doesn't know either.
I'm a vinegar-based guy, man.
See, look, my wife even said, I know I've never gone to Thai Lao. I always go to Thai cuisine next door since I've worked at the bank on Oak Street 15 years ago. All right, here we go. Here's a good question for you and something I wanted to get into. We'll go back. Actually, let's hold this question for a minute. I'll give you a minute to think on it. We're going to quick go through the last few food things, and then we'll get back to it. So, You don't eat seafood, so sushi's not going to be a thing.
Actually, I do have an opinion on sushi.
Okay.
Ko sushi is my absolute favorite. I have shot all their menus and everything. I got paid basically in gift cards, and as someone who was just recently married, only a year or two into marriage, having a handful of gift cards to be able to go and eat dinner on a date night. My wife absolutely loves Ko sushi, and she would also say King Kong is probably close second.
Yep, I've heard a lot of people say King Kong is really good too. So, all right, on to some fun ones. Best place to go get dessert. Where's your dessert spot?
Okay. All right. So this is an ice cream.
Not ice cream.
Okay. All right. So dessert. I think I'm going to have to go back to Crave, man. Crave had this sampler, and it had everything on it. Like it was just crazy. And that was something that me and my wife did for our anniversary. And I think we also did it for maybe Valentine's Day, where we went in and just ordered the sampler platter. But it was crazy good. Like a limoncello cake, cheesecake, caramel gelato that they make in house. It's just all kinds of just awesomeness on a plate.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm bringing in a picture here for mine. So let's bring up the screen here a minute and show it. This is probably one of my favorites down in Pawleys Island at Frank's Outback. It's like a 17-layer caramel cake.
It's Frank's Outback.
Yeah, isn't that what I said? Frank's Outback.
I know, but you said like Outback. It makes it sound like like it's Australian, mate.
Frank's Outback.
There we go.
Is that better? That's a great place. The other one I'm going to call an audible here because it is at a chain, but I have many times heard many people say they just go to the melting pot just for dessert.
Very true.
So, and the last thing on the list, favorite spot to get some ice cream.
All right. There is only one answer, and that is Baskin Robbins. No, I'm kidding. No, the the one answer, honestly, is Kirk's. Kirk's is a staple. It has been around for a very long time, and if you don't believe me, walk into it because it has not changed. It's still got the same lighting and wood paneling and stuff it did from the 70s, and it's just awesome. There's two. There's one like 14th maybe, 15th, 16th, something like that. And then there's one farther north, but they're both just super cool, man. They've got like old postcards on the wall from like the first hotels down here on the beach, and just crazy cool Myrtle Beach history stuff.
I'm going to give two. One, I guess, is kind of becoming more a franchise from what I'm gathering. But the Crazy Mason is pretty amazing. I was there this last week. I went to the new one that just opened in the northern end up in North Myrtle Beach. And, it's not cheap, that's for sure. And then the other one that I would mention is Ocean Bay Creamery. Right over near where Scotto's Pizzeria, they have a small little ice cream shop that's opened up there. It is owned by local Christians. And, it's an awesome little spot. They make all their ice cream in-house. It is pretty darn good.
That's awesome.
So now back to our questions over here. And guys, if you have questions about wanting to know things to do in the area, history, food, any of that kind of stuff, throw the questions. We'll get to them for sure. And here's the question that started to come up earlier, and I'll bring it up now. Jared, question. Sure. Best metal hard rock bar in Myrtle Beach.
Okay. That's kind of a hard question for me, just because one, I've never really been a part of the bar scene or anything, but I can say there's a couple of concert venues that I think are cool, and a couple of bars that have a lot of concerts that come through. There's actually one called Bourbon Street, where a friend of mine, he runs sound for a band called Badlander. He invited me out earlier this year, so I'm going to go check that out. And I wouldn't call them metal or really even hard rock, but they were a little on the heavy side. It was definitely loud, but it was a lot of fun. It's a really cool place. It's usually packed, pretty condensed. It's I don't know. It feels more like a concert venue from when I was a kid, like going to punk shows and stuff in places that no longer exist here in town.
I would also say along with that, if you want to catch some live concerts in town, there's definitely places to catch live music on a regular basis.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I know one of the big popular places around here is the Boathouse for sure. Up in North Myrtle Beach, I mean, guys, we got a House of Blues. They bring in some big name bands there at times. So that's another great spot to go and check out some music. It's actually kind of cool. I don't know, Jared, have you ever gone backstage at the House of Blues?
I've never been backstage at the House of Blues.
So what they have back there is a lot of the drum heads.
I did know about the drum heads.
Yeah. From famous bands that have played, where they sign it and hang them up. Our company usually does our annual sales gala there at the House of Blues. And so it's a pretty cool venue to kind of go backstage and walk around and see all of the different things. So you have that. Where are some other good spots, Jared, where people could go catch some live music in the area?
Sure. Yeah. There's a place down in the inlet called Hot Fish Club, and there's a lot of live music down there. I've got a friend who has a band that plays down there really often. Also, Dead Dog Saloon is another place for great music. We've got, if you're into like kind of the jam band stuff, like Tedeschi Trucks or the Allman Brothers, something like that. They play a lot of music like that. It's a lot of fun. And then downtown, it changes so drastically. I would say that like there's a lot of places, but some of them closed down and then they reopen under other names. But one of the ones that's been pretty consistent lately is Tin Roof. And that is down on the ocean, and it is a really cool venue. It's on the second or third floor, and it is just a great overlooking spot, and they always have some pretty cool bands there.
Well, speaking of history of bands in the area, we have a theater up in North Myrtle Beach that's named after a pretty famous band, and they had a spot down in Myrtle Beach. Isn't there a good spot down there where you can go check out some tunes?
Oh yeah, that's true. The Bowery. That is, that's a really Yeah, are you talking about the Alabama Theater? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you
Okay.
followed my
All right,
code name.
I'm with you. I knew what you were talking about, and I'll get there. So Alabama Theater and Carolina Opry both bring in larger concerts. You know, like sometimes they'll have country artists that come through, but you'll also see things like cover bands of the Beach Boys or the Eagles come through. I'm gonna have a sneeze here.
While he's sneezing, I actually saw the Beach Boys in Myrtle Beach back in the day when the Palace was still around.
That's awesome.
We missed the Palace. Anyway, as you
I
were.
You were talking about the Alabama Theater though, and I think this is kind of cool. There's a band called Alabama. I'm sure if you're into country music from the '90s, chances are you've probably heard their name. But what you might not know is that they actually got started here in the Myrtle Beach area. They played at a bar called the Bowery, which is right downtown, and it's on the ocean front. They were the house band there for years, and they took any request you had. They'd play any song for $1, which was that was their big thing. And the Bowery is still around, and they're still doing that kind of thing.
I'm going to pull up a picture here in a second, so people can kind of see because the Bowery kind of looks like it did back in the day.
A dive.
I mean, for lack of a better term, I mean that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. There's the Bowery.
The song that did very well for Alabama, and it was very, very popular here, was called "Dancing, Shagging on the Boulevard." You ever heard that song? Dancing, shagging on the boulevard.
I think you need to get a guitar and do a performance of it for us.
Nah, not today. but I will say that song is based on Myrtle Beach. In fact, if you start, you can hear them name all these places that some of which still exist, like Fat Jack's and the Bowery, and that's pretty awesome. And he names off other bands that were really popular here. Chairman of the Board, the Drifters, and those were big names in the R&B beach music scene as well.
Yeah. Well, and you were telling me a few weeks back about the history of some Myrtle Beach hidden gems of music.
Oh, absolutely.
Share a little bit about that with everyone.
Okay, very cool. This is like I'm a musician. I'm also me and my wife met dancing. That was something that I used to do. I used to teach dance, and Carolina Shag is actually a dance that was started here. And there's another genre of music called beach music that was coined here in this area. Now, the reason that exists is because of people coming down to Myrtle Beach on vacation. But the beaches in the 50s, 60s, 70s were segregated. In fact, they're still kind of segregated, at least in the way the cities are set up. I'm not saying that like we're racist and people can't go in certain areas, but there is a city called Atlantic Beach which sits inside of North Myrtle Beach, and that was the black part of town, like back in the 50s and 60s. But what would happen is you'd have these kids coming from like North Myrtle Beach, and they would walk down the beach. They'd come in hearing music that they haven't heard in the bars that are on their side of town, and they listen to this music. Well, the people that stock the jukeboxes in these in the black bars were the same people that stock the music in the white bars. So they say these kids coming in and listening to the Drifters and the Four Tops and the Clovers and Little Richard and things like that. So they started taking those records and they put them inside of the bars, in the white side of town. So you couldn't go home to the farm or whatever else and tell your dad you were listening to the Four Tops or listening to race records is what they were called. So you went home and you said that you were listening to beach music because that's where you listened to it. And that's where the term beach music came from. It's usually very swingy, and there's always a horn section. It's usually really chill. It's a lot of fun, and it's something that's like more 50s doo-wop than anything, and it's still very much alive right now. You're gonna go down to like Main Street in North Myrtle Beach. You're gonna find a place called Fat Harold's, another place called Ducks, and they have all kinds of history based in that. I've seen bands like the Drifters and Chairman of the Board and those kind of bands in those spaces, shoulder to shoulder with people that were here dancing to that music back in the 60s. It's really cool.
Interesting, interesting. And you were sharing with me too, and we'll get to that in a minute. I think it was like maybe you were talking about like Dizzy Gillespie or something here in the area.
Oh,
And there was,
sure. Yeah.
there were some really like historical things where like you could go into this place where some of these big people have been in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm trying to find the name of that place.
you look it up
I'll find it. Yeah.
while I go through some comments here. So Tess says, I really don't have a sweet tooth unless it's ice cream in the summer. I'm with you. And cheesecake. Cheesecake, best place for cheesecake, I would say, in town is probably New York Prime. Has phenomenal cheesecake. Also, he said, I was the lead singer for an 80s hair metal cover band, and I'm definitely looking to get in the music scene when we move. That sounds like it could be fun. All right, here's a question for you. What would your go-to date night be with locally owned and or operated restaurants in business? Myrtle Beach or Conway ideas?
Okay. Crooked Oak Tavern, which is in downtown Conway. That is a farm-to-table restaurant. Really cool atmosphere. My parents absolutely love it, and that's a place that Annie and I have been looking at for a date night. And then let's see here. Maybe go walk down the river walk, and walk off dinner and just have a good time by the water. That's always pretty. Or if it's the off season, we might go to a place down in Myrtle. We go to Fat Jack's, or we go to the Thai Lao, which is a place that my wife loves, and then maybe we'll go walk around Broadway at the beach, which is beautiful because they keep all the lights on even in the off season. So, it's really nice. It's very secluded, but it's just really pretty. The music's going, the lights are on. It's just really nice and romantic.
Speaking of what you were talking about, the Riverwalk, there is a barbecue place of some sort out there. I can't think of the name. I think like Bonfire or something like that.
Yeah.
I was there a few weeks back. It was pretty darn good. I was impressed.
You know what's really funny about that restaurant?
What's that?
It's burned down twice. That's a horrible name for a restaurant.
Especially after that.
Well, it was named like that. It was named that after that. I just thought it was really in bad taste.
Yeah. Herb says Dead Dog and Garden City Pier for music spots.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Oh, we did not do this one.
Ooh, I got the Mexican food in town, bro. All
right. Where do you go for Mexican food?
Okay.
Food, so not food.
All right. So Perry Hostetler, who is our Next Steps pastor, he's also over the missionary groups here in town. He loves Mexican food, and he is very particular about Mexican food. And he took me to his favorite place, and that is La Poblanita. It's on 3rd Avenue in downtown Myrtle. And it's awesome. Oh my goodness gracious. When you just got to point something on the menu when you don't speak fluent Spanish, or you just do the best you can in your gringo accent, and it's just awesome to be in like one of the only white people in a restaurant. Like, the food's got to be authentic, man. That's just,
I'm not a Mexican person. So like we'll go sometimes to like El Cerro Grande or La Hacienda down in Sacasti. And I'm usually the one that gets the cheeseburger or the chicken wings there off the menu.
Gotcha.
So you don't want to ask me that one. All right. Brian says, any plans of any ice rinks going in? No, I don't think so, because, it would cost a fortune to keep the ice probably from melting here. I do know that sometimes in the winter they set up a quasi ice rink down in the Market Common area, but it's not made of ice. It's really kind of weird.
Plexiglass.
Yeah. Let's see here. Victor, I don't think they did. Oh, he was saying, no, we didn't go over Mexican. Sorry, we did now. And then he's saying that was a really cool history lesson.
I do have something to add to that, by the way. I found the name of the place. Okay. It's called Charlie's Place. It was in the it's actually still there. It was in the Booker T. Washington neighborhood in Myrtle Beach. And it was this it was a during segregation, it was a bar and a concert venue for Black artists to come into town. People like Dizzy Gillespie, Little Richard, Duke Ellington, Billie Holiday, Lena Horne, and plenty of other ones. It was kind of near Ocean Forest Hotel, even though that was the white side of town. but you had all these really amazing artists that were prolific. They're part of American culture that came in and they played right here in town. It's kind of cool.
Interesting. All right, next question. What are the best wineries and craft beer places in town? You want me to answer since I know your answer already?
I don't drink, yeah.
Yeah. So Jared doesn't drink. I don't really drink a lot of beer or wine. So I'm going to answer this from what I've heard. First off, for wine, Duplin Winery up in Barefoot area is very popular. However, what I've been told is that the wine is very sweet. So if you don't like sweet wines, you're probably not going to care for it too much.
Muscadine.
Yeah, it's not going
I
to
had a meeting with them once. That's the only reason I know.
Yeah. Now, some of the different breweries in towns and places for craft beers. My brother-in-law, when he was in town, he is the craft brew guy. He was very excited to go eat at Sneaky Beagle and Grumpy Monk because he knows their craft brewery menu. Let me say that right. And he was very excited. They had some very high-ranking ones on there. Like I said, I don't really drink a lot of beer, so I'm not the person to ask for that either.
Just to add to that, because you were talking about Sneaky Beagle, there's a place in downtown Conway called Crafty Rooster, and they always have like a chalkboard, craft brew menu that is changing constantly, and you always get, a lot of people talk about how much they like it. So,
yep, there's also New South Brewery, which has a lot of stuff here, and also in downtown Myrtle Beach. Just recently, a brewery opened up downtown. From what I've heard rave reviews from people saying it's awesome to check out as well. All right. Caroline says Cafe Gelato is a place to go for the ice cream. Have you ever been there?
I have not.
Put it on your to-do list next to any date. There you go.
There we go.
Victor says my family loves Abuelo's even though it's a chain. It's pretty good. I personally don't like going there because there's always a long line to get in. I don't know why. The wait is always so ridiculous. And let's see here. Guns Blazing wants to know, so how hot and how cold is it? Right now, I'm guessing probably the temperature's in the mid-80s. Well, we just had rain. So I'm guessing it's probably low 80s right now in the area. And, the thing is the temperature isn't what you have to worry about here so much. It's the humidity.
True.
The humidity takes it. It could be mid 80s here, but with the humidity, it feels
brutal.
Like 103.
Yeah.
So, you spend a lot of time in air conditioning and just be prepared when you go outside to sweat. So, if you got to go outside for a bit and then go do something else for work, you might want to take an extra shirt along with you. And definitely all your friends will thank you for having a really good deodorant.
When I was working like wedding photography for a living, and you got weddings that happen in, most of the time in like March, April, September, October, like those, like October, November are really the most busy months of the year for weddings around here. But, you definitely have a lot of ones come through in the summer, June, July, August. And, I had to take at least 2 or 3 shirts with me every time I went to a wedding.
Yep. Yeah. It can get a little hot to say the least. But guys, I appreciate, keep the questions coming. This is cool. I'm enjoying it. What other fun facts, Jared, did you have that you wanted to share about the area? I'm going to give you the, you want me to give you the control of the screen too?
If you want to, sure. Maybe not pull it up yet. I'll just stay right here on my face.
All right.
But, okay. So, when I say I'm going to just put it in the comments when I talk about pirates, who's the first pirate that comes to your mind that is not Jack Sparrow? Okay, like historically, who's the first pirate comes to mind? Not going to answer me?
I'm answering. He's
okay.
In the comments.
Okay, all right, Davy Jones. Okay, all right, yeah. Throw it in the comments if
Isn't that what you wanted?
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I just figured you were going to answer me on the microphone.
Oh.
Okay, Redbeard. There we go, Taz.
Redbeard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know many famous pirates.
All right. Well, when I think of pirate, I think of Blackbeard first. You know, his name was Edward Teach, Captain Hook. I like that. Blackbeard. There we go. Victor DeMar said Blackbeard and Mud Puppy too. Okay, there we go. Blackbeard was Edward Teach. His bonus points if you know the name of his ship, which is the Queen Anne's Revenge. Anyway, Blackbeard was a very popular, legend, but he actually was a real person, and he sailed out of Jamaica. Well, he was part of a pirate crew. Like he grew up in learning how to be a pirate from other pirates on a ship, and then finally was given his own ship inside this fleet of pirates. Well, all those pirates decided to give up the life, and he got so angry that he decided, I lived by the sword. I'm going to die by the sword. I'm going to live my life as a pirate. And he was actually really famous for being in this area. He would come down to the Grand Strand area. See, we're in kind of a crescent. If you think about, like, if you're standing on the beach in Myrtle Beach and you look north, you can see land kind of curving towards you, and if you look south, you can see it curving towards you. Well, on the on the north side, we actually have a lighthouse. Well, what would happen is Edward Teach would bring a donkey during a storm, and he'd put lanterns on the donkey, and he'd walk him up and down the coast of Myrtle Beach. And then what would happen is he'd then wait for a ship to be sailing by and say, oh man, this storm is too much. We got to come in. So what they would do is they would come in towards what they thought was a lighthouse, but it was actually just a lantern on top of a donkey. So what would happen is they would run aground because they're not in the right spot. And then Blackbeard and his pirates would go out and they would pillage the boat that they just crashed. That's a real story that happened just, like right here on the coast, just a couple of miles from where we're sitting.
So I've learned about a lot more pirates now that are out there. And once they were named, I started to think of them. Of course, the first one that came to mind was Captain Jack. And then because you had me in Captain Jack Sparrow, Davy Jones' locker comes to
yeah, sure, absolutely.
But it was quite funny. One-Eyed Willie was given in there, Captain Hook, a couple other ones. Here's a question for you. Do you guys remember the Firebird Motor Inn?
Yeah. The one in Florence?
I believe
there's one in Florence. It's still there.
Yeah, I think that.
Off of 95.
Yep. Maybe there was one here at the beach that was before our time. I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah.
Before our time. That's for sure. But yeah.
I do have another fun fact about this area, though.
Okay.
That I think is kind of interesting.
Bring it on.
All right. So, I know one of the things that happened in 2020 was everybody got Disney Plus, at least if you have children. Taz, I will answer that question about the haunted places. Give me just a second. But there is, something cool about Disney Plus is they actually released Hamilton. Okay. Hamilton on, and you could actually watch the Broadway play on Disney Plus. So I don't know about you guys, but I've probably watched it 30 or 40 times. I'm an absolute Hamilton fan. And as a girl dad, as a dad of a young child, she's only 3. The song that hit the hardest for me was actually Dear Theodosia, which is Aaron Burr singing to his daughter, Dear Theodosia, what to say to you. Okay. Yes, I'm fully aware you did not like it. But the cool thing about it is that Theodosia was, these are historical. These are real people. So Theodosia actually married a governor, okay, whose last name was Alston. Okay, she married Governor Alston. And Governor Alston and his daughter, Theodosia's daughter, are both buried inside of Brookgreen Gardens. In the Alston Cemetery, which was part of the Oaks rice plantation, which is part of what we know as Brookgreen Gardens now. The thing that I think is so cool, though, is that Theodosia was actually lost at sea. But she has a memorial to her inside of Brookgreen Gardens, and there's a great story that they tell when you're touring the plantations about the fact that there was a painting found of a man farther south, a painting of his second wife who looked eerily like Theodosia. So though she was lost at sea, there is a legend that she washed up ashore and she, lost her, memory or whatever else, and lived out her life as the second wife of a farmer just south of where we are at now, which is kind of cool.
Are you referring to the Brook Green Garden that I mentioned in last week's video? Shameless
I
plug.
am. Yes, absolutely.
Shameless plug. If you haven't watched it, it's a great video on things locals love to do that are tourism things, tourist traps of the area that even us as locals enjoy to do. We love to go to Brook Green Gardens. I mentioned in that video, I actually proposed to my wife there. And if you have never done it, you have to experience at least once in your life. Go there for a night of 1,000 candles. It is
Absolutely.
just an amazing spectacle to see. So, all right. Question.
Yes. Okay. So haunted places. There's not a lot of haunted places that I'm extremely familiar with, but there's a couple of things about this area that, low country, wives' tales or
Folklore.
legends, folklore. Yeah, for sure. One of them is Old Gun Church, which is in Georgetown, I believe. And, that's what's been considered the most haunted place in the area. Definitely not a place I'm looking to go hang out anytime at night myself. But they've had to fence it off and stuff because of how many people have snuck in there. But one thing that I think is really interesting, and maybe Jeremy, this, maybe you don't, that a low country thing on front porches, you'll find that the ceiling of the porches are painted blue. And the reason they are painted blue is to keep the haints away, which is a nice Southern word for ghosts.
Or was that their nice way of saying the haunted and they just couldn't say it, so they called them haints?
That's possible, Mr. Pennsylvania.
Easy there. It's funny you mentioned these haunted things. Just the other week in our office, I'm not into doing those, but the girls at the front were talking about there's something about if you wear your wedding ring past this certain thing. I think it's down in the southern end.
Yeah.
People's wedding rings get lost.
Yeah, I've heard that. The name of the girl is escaping me. But yeah. I will say that another like local legend ghost story is the Gray Man. Have you ever heard of the Gray Man?
If I did, I didn't pay attention because I didn't
care. There's actually several things named after the Gray Man in this area, like Gray Man Gallery, I think, down in Myrtle's Inlet. But it was this ghost, this man all in gray who would show up, and there's several accountings of people citing the Gray Man who tells them that something harrowing is on its way, and them leaving an area, stop them from being destroyed by a hurricane or a tornado that came through or something like that.
All right. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to think of this while I take care of some questions.
Okay.
But here's the question I want you to think about. I want you to plan out a full day of things to do in the area for under $50 as a local. I'll give you a minute to think on that.
Okay.
If you had $50 for just you and you could go do anything in the day and you want to do something that from lunchtime till you go to bed, what would be the things you would do? While
just
you think
me?
of that, just you. Well, $50 a person. If you want to do it with you and your date, that's fine. Just you. We'll just do you. And while you do that, I'm gonna go through some here. John said, "Sorry, I missed a large portion of this, but I really enjoyed tonight's topics." Glad you're enjoying it, John. If you have questions, please ask them as well. And then Herb said, Brook Green Gardens is beautiful. Only $20, I believe. Yeah, it's not very expensive. And yeah, the passes allow you to get back in for multiple days. The same is true with Alligator Adventure. If you go to Alligator Adventure, usually the pass is good for multiple. I think it's like a 7-day pass because we have done that before with the kids going back because you could get back in for free. And then lastly here in the comments, I know there used to be a haunted walk through Conway. So there's another option for you. And so while he's thinking, guys, if you have more questions, put them down and type them in, send them to us right now. If you want to know about things about the area, things to do in the area, good places to go eat. If we missed a food category that you wanted to know about, one that I would say we kind of skipped over, Jarrett, and unfortunately, I am not the person to ask, and I don't think you really are either. But people always want to know where's a good place for vegetarians and vegans to go. I like my meat, so unfortunately, I'm not a good person for that. Usually, the answer I give is clean eats is a good option for people. I know your wife has some dietary restrictions with gluten and those things, so she may have, have a couple places that you've gone to as well on that. So answer that first. Vegan, vegetarian, maybe option if there's something you can think of, and then
a clean eats was really the one I was thinking of.
Okay, so there you go, clean eats. Now I'm gonna give you
Alice flag. That's it right there. That's the one with the rings. That's Yes,
that's it. Actually, I know there was a gentleman who wrote like a whole play about it or a musical about that. That I know his mother really well. She's a real estate agent here in town. All right. Have you had a chance to think about how you'd spend your $50 day?
Yes, I'm trying to decide on dinner.
You work on that. I have another thing that came in here. Me and the young teens went to get ramen at Royal Ramen. It was delicious. Their dumplings were great. Okay, great. And
I think I'm ready.
Is there anywhere to go to pick your veggies? I can't think of any. Maybe you do. I know there are a lot of local farmers markets in town that have local fresh picked veggies from the area. Can you think of any where you can go actually pick your own?
Not vegetables. No. Now I know that there's some strawberry fields and stuff, and those are owned by people that have much larger farms, and they usually have things that they sell per pound. There's a place out on 378 that's just awesome.
And my wife, if she's still here, she will probably say the name of that in a minute because she has picked many strawberries there. She also likes to go out in Conway to Bruce's Blueberries. And I think they went and picked 22 pounds of blueberries this year, and the kids just a few weeks ago. All right. Are you ready with your list?
All right. I think I'm ready.
All right.
So
take it away.
All right. So, Mr. Sub. All right. That's going to be my lunch. It's old school. It's downtown Myrtle. It hasn't really changed any since the 80s. My dad ate there when he worked his bank job right out of high school, and it looks basically the same as it did then. And still run by the same family. And the bread is awesome. It's just a very good sandwich you could probably get for, $10, $12. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So next, this, because I am a nerd, I'm a nerd at heart. I love video games. I have a good time playing video games, but I'm not like a sit down on my computer and play for 12 hours kind of person. I enjoy an arcade. And we actually have a vintage arcade here in town called Player's Choice that is up in the Myrtle Beach Mall. It's owned by a friend of mine, and it is a quarter arcade, just like it would have been done back in the 80s. So, Mrs. Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, pinball machines, even a 45 record jukebox, which is awesome and breaks constantly, but still is really awesome. And yeah, Tyler's Produce. That's it. But yeah, so that would be what I'd do with my afternoon. I'd spend a bunch in quarters and just go have a good time out at Player's Choice. And then after that, I would go and find something to do before dinner. And the thing I would do is I'd go out to Vereen Gardens. Have you ever been to Vereen Gardens?
I have not, but I've heard that. Isn't that the one up in the northern end?
Yeah. It's right on the other side of the line between South Carolina and North Carolina. It's in Ocean Isle, I think, technically. But it is just, it's beautiful. It's really, really nice. It's like this little connected islands right there on the water. And it's just beautiful.
Okay. So we're going to Vereen Gardens.
Yep. And so that closes at sunset. So I would say that, I'm out there enjoying that as long as I can, just enjoying the weather and the view. That's
My,
what I want to do with my day.
my guess is that you also have a camera in your hand shooting a few images.
Most likely, definitely always have a camera around somewhere, and that has been a favorite spot of mine to go do and shoot family portraits or engagement sessions, even bridal portraits, things like that.
Okay, so you're staying there till sundown.
Yep. And then I'm gonna head to Main Street in North Myrtle. Okay. The reason I say Main Street in North Myrtle is because there's all kinds of really cool historical things down there. Like I mentioned before, you got Ducks and Fat Harold's, and you got great music. Depending on the time of year, you might hit SOS, which is like this, what I like to call it, like senior citizen spring break. It's like a 10-day Carolina Shag dance thing. They close down the roads and do all kinds of really cool concerts and things like that. And you just no idea what you're going to see. It's always a lot of fun. And there's several restaurants down there that you could pick from, including the Diner and Ducks, as well as the OD Arcade. And there's a restaurant in Fat Harold's as well.
Okay, all right. I am a big fan, and I think it's because we have family or friends with the people who own it. But Fun Plaza in downtown Myrtle Beach, kind of the same thing, old school arcade.
Yeah.
Funny story on that place. Catherine, my wife, used to take care of the gentleman who owned that building, and it basically sits on 2 acres of prime real estate right on the beach in Myrtle Beach. And when he went to start it, I believe he went to the bank to get a loan and needed $30,000 to purchase the land and build the building. And they would not give it. He had to go up to North Carolina to find a bank to give him. That land today, I can only imagine what it is worth in that prime real estate spot. But it's a cool little arcade as well, where you bring in your quarters, putting them in, playing skee ball, all that kind of fun stuff. All right, couple more questions, Ken. Where's Royal Ramen? And then it's up on 7819 North Kings Highway, not too far from Broadway at the beach. I think you may have just made my wife a new place to go to eat.
Is that like that's like Grand Dunes area? That's like,
yeah,
like right there in that new plaza where like they just built that McDonald's across from the the K&W and all that.
Actually, I think it might be over on the other side, down by the Food Lion Shopping Center on Kings Highway.
I'm talking Kings Highway.
Is where? Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's where.
What I'm talking. Yeah, the Food Line. Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's fairly new.
Yep. All right. Another question that came in: if not covered, real low country dining or shrimp and grits. Where are you going to get your shrimp and grits? Although you don't eat shrimp.
No, I like shrimp.
Okay, so where are you going for shrimp and grits? Where are you going for shrimp and grits?
I'm trying to think of a restaurant that like is maybe a local spot. There's not a lot, I would say, that I know a lot of catering companies have done it that I'm a big fan of, but a lot of those places aren't open, for
go sit down.
Exactly. There is Tupelo Honey, which I don't think is it's a chain, sort of, but it's regional.
Yeah, it's definitely regional.
They have a really good shrimp and grits.
Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Best place to play golf. Where's your favorite place to go play golf? I just found out a few weeks ago that Jared actually really enjoys golf. I did not know this till just recently. But where's your favorite?
So long.
What's your favorite course to play?
Okay. My favorite course to play was actually at Wild Wing, and it is now condos. But I'm a big fan of all the barefoot courses. I think Barefoot does a fantastic job of making a beautiful, beautiful course, and they have 4 awesome courses: the Love, Fazio, Norman, and the Die Club, which is a private course. The Die Club is where they have the Monday after the Masters tournament. So I've met several people, including like Dustin Johnson, Tommy Two Gloves. I've met them, but also people like Shannon Sharp, Wayne Gretzky, Elway. Not Elway.
Speaking,
Yeah.
but speaking of Dustin Johnson, it made me kind of think of something. We actually have some fairly popular, well-known professional athletes that have been through the area, that have gone to Coastal Carolina. Dustin Johnson, who for a while was the number one golfer in the world. You have Josh Norman, who played at Coastal Carolina, who was one of the top cornerbacks out there. And there's several other really well-known professional athletes from the area. Talking golf, for me, one of my favorite places to go as a local and play is probably Burning Ridge Golf Course in Conway. And the reason being is that it's an easier course and it's very affordable.
That's fair.
As a local, because I am horrible, I don't want to spend a ton of money to do it. And I think it's been a while since I've been there, but I think the last time I played, it was like under $30. But, one of the other fun places to golf, and we actually talked about it last week in the video, and I actually took you there a few weeks ago, was Top Golf. We had a lot of fun. It is definitely a chain, and it's definitely kind of a tourism spot. But we had a blast. Now we had to wait. I think we had to wait. What was it, like an hour to get a bag?
45 minutes.
Yeah. But it was fun. We had a blast. And what was great is, even though neither you or I were ready for PGA, we had a fun time.
Oh yeah, man.
And that's all that mattered, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. We love the Fun Plaza. Wait, they put shrimp and grits. How do you like?
Don't knock it till you try it, man.
I am not a grits person, no matter how much I try to become a grits person. I just cannot. Let's see here. Darrell McLeod says Dave & Buster's is my favorite place in Myrtle Beach. It is fun. It can get, though, expensive really quick.
True.
And, they obviously are going to have the latest and greatest of arcade games for sure. But, they gets expensive real quick. What is the best putt-putt golf? Where's your favorite place to take? Because you now have a little one.
Yeah.
May not be to the point to take her just yet, because she's right on that cusp of starting to be fun. But
I haven't taken her yet.
Okay, so then we'll talk from a date standpoint. You and your wife are going on a date. Where's your favorite place to go do mini golf?
I like Captain Hook's. It's got a cool story. Like, it tells the story as you go along.
Is that the one at 38th Avenue?
38th, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And then there's one called Mayday that's pretty cool.
Up in North Myrtle Beach with the airplane that has the spinning propeller on it.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they used that place in Joe versus the Volcano.
It wasn't something like that, I believe. And while we're on the subject of mini golf, there actually used to be the world championships of mini golf held up in North Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
My personal favorite, I think, for mini golf is probably the biggest one in the area, Mount Atlanticus. It is huge. It is massive, and it is a lot of fun. There's 2 18-hole courses there, and it's several stories high that you go up through and down through the caves and the caverns and up and around everywhere, which is really, really a lot of fun. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming. We're having fun. Jarrett, we got about 35 people joining in here.
Yeah, man. 38.
38. We're rocking and rolling here. Darrell says that Top Golf is his favorite or her favorite. I don't know if it's a he or she, but their favorite place to go. Here's a question. Guns blazing. Is there any Regal Cinema like the movie theater?
Market Common.
Is that one a Regal still, or is that a Stone?
Well, it says I typed in Regal Cinemas Myrtle Beach and it came up Stone Theaters.
Okay.
So they must be a sister company of some sort.
Yeah, it must be a sister for sure. The big movie chain here in our area is Cinemark. Which has down at the mall has the recliner chairs where you can go sit back. What's really, really cool there too is you can rent an entire theater for like under $200. And we just did that about 2 months ago for my oldest daughter's birthday. We're trying to figure out what can we do for a birthday party for a teenager. You know, it's COVID still. Some things are still not open. We didn't want to spend an absolute fortune doing things. You know, everybody and their aunt and uncle has gone to Rock and Jump lately. We thought, well, hey, maybe we should do something at the beach. Well, there's just way too much liability for me to have a half dozen teenagers at the beach by myself to take care of. Wasn't going to try it. So we did a movie. It was awesome. We rented the whole theater out for, I think it was $199. They could have, she had 20 of her friends there. We had 15 minutes before the movie, 15 minutes after to do cake and gifts.
That's awesome.
They said bring in cupcakes. It makes it easier. So we did. Had no mess to clean up afterwards. And we had a blast doing that for sure.
Dude, I want to do that now.
I know.
It's not my birthday.
Well, I was just thinking, I haven't been able to go see Black Widow yet. Maybe I just need to rent a theater.
It was awesome.
Invite my friends to go see it. Of course, I'd have to have enough friends to fill the theater. So I'd have to bring you along to invite people. All right. Moving on. Best local seafood, not tourist seafood, but where the locals go. Patrick, good question. We did talk about that earlier, but I'll kind of recap it. Sea Captain's House in downtown Myrtle Beach is great. Mr. Fish up on 76th Avenue is another awesome option. And then head down to Murrells Inlet. There are tons of great places down there. There's Divine Fish House, Bovines, Hot Fish. There's tons of places down through there that have great seafood. Creek Rats, another real popular spot as well. Drunken Jack's is another one down in the Murrells Inlet area. We're making Caroline take notes here tonight. So awesome. Stone Theaters is a great spot located in an outdoor mall. Nice place. Yeah, that's over there at Market Common. And so it's kind of cool in Market Common area. Jarrett, why don't you give a little bit of history for a minute? We'll take a second from the from the questions. Give a little history of what Market Common in that area used to be.
Yeah, sure. Actually, Market Common is on what used to be an Air Force base. In fact, when I was in college, you were talking about heading to coastal Carolina and how long of a drive that was. I lived in Conway, and all my classes were at the Grand Strand campus of Horry Georgetown, which was on the Air Force Base. And that was such a long drive, and there was nothing out there. It was, if Market Common was even started, it was very, just barely started. And it was a hard area to sell for this new place. In fact, Market Common failed. It did not do well when they opened. There was a Piggly Wiggly there. They were hoping they were going to make this like town, and it did not work.
But in its defense, there was also a great recession that came through the area at the same time that caused a lot of the area. But the whole concept behind the Market
concept was great
when it originally came about, and the people who built it and designed it had taken the same concept and done it in like downtown Atlanta, where it was extremely successful. But it was to build this whole entire live, work, play environment where people could go do everything they needed in one spot and never have to go anywhere else, get in a car or anything with it. Of course, right after they started it and they started to sell off all of the land around the area, we hit this great recession and everything basically came to a halt. Most of the land in Market Common was sold back in about 2005 area when the land was sold off to commercial developers and all that. And they started to build and they got like phase one done. And then everything went, and that was the end of it for the most part. So, but it is crazy. It's all built actually on Air Force Base. And so if you ever hear somebody mention the back gate, that's where they're talking about.
The back gate of the Air Force Base, yeah.
That stoplight before they put that overpass in was ridiculously long. I used to do.
Goodness gracious.
You remember the social media network Foursquare?
Oh, yeah.
I created a check-in.
You had the pin. You had the check-in there.
I created the check-in, the back gate stoplight, and I
That's
was the
so
mayor
funny.
of it for many, many years. Actually was published in the newspaper because of that one. But it was a
That's so
stoplight you
funny.
get stuck at for 4 to 5 hours, it seemed. All right,
Now,
let's see.
just by the way, like I said, it didn't work. It didn't work the first time, but it is built up. It is beautiful now, and it is thriving. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And talking about homes for a minute and property values, I know we've kind of talked more about just things to do in the area, but from a home value in the area, the Mark Common name, just having that attached to the development and being there versus some of the other sections of the beach, easily could add $30,000 to $40,000, $50,000. I remember back when they were starting it, Pulte, who's one of the large builders, national builders, was building in Market Common and building in Carolina Forest in Berkshire Forest. And I had a client who wanted to build a specific model and they wanted to see what it looked like. And they said, well, we have that as a model down in Market Common. So we drove down there and looked at it and said, hey, we kind of like this location too. To build the same exact house, nothing different, just Market Common versus non was $30,000 more. So anyway, moving on. Some other questions that came in. Where's some car shows?
We actually have a classic car show that happens here every year called Run to the Sun. It happens in downtown Myrtle, and it is, a lot of 60s, 70s era cars, but you've got a lot of stuff before then and some stuff after, some 80s, some 90s. But there is a lot of really great cars that come into town, and it's like driving through American Graffiti at night. There's all kinds of great hot rods and stuff downtown.
Yeah, there's also a big Mustang week that happens too.
Very true. Yeah.
Which is very, very popular and is growing each and every year, for sure. But those are probably the two big ones, I would say. Let's see. Herb says, we were at Dave and Buster's last week with our 14-year-old granddaughters. She had a blast, and me and Grandma sat at the bar, had some beers, and lunch was delicious. Nice. Oh, tell them about our putt-putt date. Oh, I don't think I should go there. Have I ever told you this one, Jarrett?
I don't remember.
So my wife and I, on our first date, she was in town, and I took her to play mini golf here in Myrtle Beach. And we went to Treasure Island there on 48th Avenue. And the first hole kind of goes through this cavern, through like underneath the waterfall. And so I was being the nice gentleman. I said, you can go first and hit first. And so she sits her ball down, hits it, but she winds up like she's Tiger Woods, hitting a 300-yard drive down the middle of the fairway and gives this thing every bit of energy possible. The ball hits off a rock, bounces straight back. I had to duck and dive right as it was going for my head. She about knocked me out in the first 3 minutes of our first date playing miniature golf.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Are there any IMAX theaters in the area? Unfortunately, not anymore. But the old IMAX theater here is now home for the Cirque du, it's not Cirque du Soleil, but
Grand Cirque.
Le Grand Cirque, that's the name of it, is doing their shows there at Broadway at the beach. And I'm sure they're pretty awesome. I've seen some of the videos. It looks pretty good.
For sure.
I really like how they brought the history of the old Air Force Base back in Market Common area with the plaque. Oh, yeah, she's talking about the Warbird Memorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool little spot. Definitely, I would highly recommend people go check that out. Did you have something you wanted to say on that?
Yeah. There's a kid that goes to our church. He is one of our volunteers in the tech team. His name is Cole, and he just got his Eagle Scout. And his to get your Eagle Scout badge in the Boy Scouts, you have to do a project that is beneficial to your community. Well, what he decided to do for his project was to either film videos talking about the history of the area inside the Air Force Base, or just categorize all the videos that he had. So if you go to any of those things, not only are there plaques, but there's also QR codes. So you can take the photo of that QR code, and that'll take you to videos telling you about the area and all the history and stuff. And that's all because of Cole, a little 17-year-old kid that goes to our church.
That is pretty cool, because we did see those and we clicked on a bunch of them to check it out. Funny thing I would say about this too, we talked about it being the old Air Force Base. Well, most of the Carolina Forest area back in the day, many, 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 many years ago, was the bombing range area for bombing practice. So a lot of these developments, when they're being built, don't be surprised if they give you an extra disclosure on a new construction, basically stating it's a bombing disclosure. They will search the ground so many feet down. If they find one that did not detonate, they will call the bomb squad, come out. I live in Carolina Forest. I live in Carolina Forest, and every so often you're just sitting on your back porch and you'll hear as it's detonated. So from time to time, they do find one. If they do, they get it taken care of. Debbie says, just back from Myrtle Beach. Christy, despite the light pollution, are there any places you'd recommend take some decent astrophotography? I had to stop a minute. Astrophotography shots or amazing stargazing spots in general. You're the photography man. Where would you go to do those things?
Sure, absolutely. There's a couple of areas that I would suggest. One is down on the inlet. I would say Merle's Inlet. There's several other areas down there on the marsh that are available to go. There's one place that I absolutely love. It's a boat landing just north of Huntington Beach State Park. And it's where a lot of people launch, but there's not that many houses down there, and so there's not much light pollution. But I would also say that like maybe 30 miles inland, there's some really nice farmland and stuff that I've done some astrophotography in, and it's crazy. Just you get just a few miles out of town, and it gets really nice. But when you get a few more miles out of town and you can't see your hand in front of your face on a night without the moon, you can really get some awesome shots.
And you're the person to ask. Although we had this question on a photography guy as my guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a car show happening in March when we were in town. Nice.
That was the Run to the Sun one.
Run to the Sun. Yep. Debbie didn't get a chance to check out Market Common. Next time you come to town, definitely go down there, walk around. When they brought it to the area, one of the goals they were trying to accomplish with it was to bring some higher end shopping to the area. Unfortunately, most of those high end stuff never made it here, but you can definitely find some nicer places to go shop in the area. There's
a lot of boutiques.
Yep, there's a lot of
well.
Exactly. There's a lot of boutique things there, and a lot of really cool little restaurants type thing. If you like crepes, there's Crepe Creations. You can go have a fancy crepe. I just like to say crepe a lot. What would be your favorite place to eat at Market Common?
I mean, Crepe Creations is definitely my wife's favorite. Let's see here.
It doesn't have to be. It can be a chain because mine definitely.
Okay, well, there's actually something I'm gonna give you instead, and that is a place called You Eat I Bake. It is a bakery inside of Market Common. It's another thing that my wife absolutely loves. It's owned by a girl that we've known for years, and she does a lot of gluten-free stuff, which is something my wife needs. And also, like, she sells out like crazy fast. So like if you want something, you got to show up in the morning.
Interesting. Well, and you mentioned Ko Sushi a little while ago. So you like that.
I just figured I'd try and give you something new.
Yeah, probably the places that we go to the most in Market Common is either Ultimate California Pizza, or we go a lot. We've gone over the years to Gordon Biersch several times, and also P.F. Chang's. Those are probably the three. The other one that I have known many people take date nights there, but Travinia is also supposed to be phenomenal. It's one of my brother's probably favorite places when he's in town to go.
Nacho Hippo is probably the one that we go to the most, which is a local place.
Cool. Tass got some really cool photos. Go Vols. He must be a Tennessee fan, I think. What are your guess?
Yeah.
Who do the local high schools play? Do they have to travel for games?
We have a lot of local high schools. They play each other.
Yeah, so and that's very true. So, we have Myrtle Beach High School. There's Carolina Forest High School. There's Socastee High School, St. James, North Myrtle Beach, Conway, Ainer, and I'm sure there's Loris, and several others that I'm not thinking of right now. But a lot of them play each other, but they do also travel from time to time to play other people in nearby. The thing that people don't realize is that our county is probably one of the largest counties east of the Mississippi. It's a huge county. I think I had heard that there's something like 45,000 students in Horry County schools.
Wow.
Something like that. I mean, it's crazy the amount. All right. Debbie says, as far as pictures, I got great shots at a Merle's Inlet cruise. Never done one of those. Have you ever done one of those cruises?
I haven't.
Maybe I need to do that. Actually, one of the things that my son wants to do here in the very near future for his birthday, and we're probably going to do it, is take a trip down to Charleston.
Okay.
And go out on one of the shark tooth excursions. Because cool. he wants to get one of the big 6-inch megalodon teeth.
That's cool.
But it's not cheap to do.
Yeah.
All right. Question. What is the current COVID-19 count right now in Myrtle Beach? We're hoping to visit in October if the borders open up. I don't know the answer to that question as to what it is, but here's what I can tell you. As of right now, everything in Myrtle Beach is wide open, and everything is probably going to stay that way, wide open. I don't see things here shutting down or going back. You will find here in our area that a lot of the places have even removed their mask mandates so that you don't even need to do them. Jared, I know you work at a church, which is probably one of the largest ones in the area. There haven't been mask mandates there for 6-8 weeks at least.
Yeah, we dropped the mask mandate thing. I mean, we were never in a mandate, but we did ask people to put on masks, and we as a staff wore them for the most part. That we ended that a few weeks ago, honestly, 2 months ago, maybe more. But yeah, I'd say honestly, everything's just kind of starting to open up here, and the numbers aren't high. We haven't had any huge hot spots or breakouts or anything like that. I'm not saying that we don't have people that, test positive or whatever. I don't know exactly what those numbers are, but for the most part, people aren't counting.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question. Years ago, you could get alligator at any restaurant, but I think they have restrictions now. Does anyone know a restaurant or bar grill that serves alligator as an appetizer?
I don't.
I can't. I'm trying to think. There used to be one.
I've eaten it.
Yeah, there's been one. There used to be one up at Barefoot many years ago because I remember having it.
They have something Worked Out with Alligator Adventure.
Maybe, I don't know. Okay. I've never had that, but one of the things when I think of it that it always makes me think of is what's it called? Flamingo Grill over there on 71st Avenue or so, 73rd. They have lobster bites, and they are probably, I know you're not a seafood person, but they are probably one of the best things in the world you could ever eat. Tass wants to know, are there any casinos there? My mother-in-law loves casinos. I couldn't find ones besides the boat. We don't have casinos here. There is talks, and they are trying to get it passed through. I don't know if you will ever see it happen in our area.
No.
I know if it does, it would be a huge boost to the economy for sure. But we are part of the Bible Belt. And it's
a buckle.
We're basically right in the middle, yeah. And so it's fairly conservative here in our area. So I don't know if you will see it. Back many years ago, you used to be able to go into a bar and they would have like a slot machine that was there that you could do. But they removed those.
Yeah.
Probably been 18 years or so ago.
25.
No? Really? Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've all been removed.
In fact, I used to work at a church in Surfside that was an old video poker casino.
Nice.
Really, the only thing I think left that's still legal is coin pushers. So, like, you drop a coin and it pushes the coin back and forth. Like, anytime I mean, like, I don't think it's considered gambling, but like when I put money in and expect to get money back out if I win, that's gambling in my opinion. But yeah, just the boats. And I mean, and the boats offer plenty of opportunity if you want to go out. I can't remember how long, but it's not a very long trip.
It's like a 2 hour, like a 2 or 3 hour tour.
Yeah.
It's not long at all for sure. But I remember one time, it's been many, many years ago, that I worked at a restaurant, and for our Christmas party that year, they bought us all tickets onto this, what's it called? The Sun Cruise Casino, I think it was called, or something goofy like. Yeah, that one. And so we went out on it, but yeah, it was okay. But it's not a very long time. All right, next question. Surfside Gunny. Surfside Gunny. I love that name. That's just a cool one. When does the summer tourist season end in Myrtle Beach? It's interesting because this tourist season here has changed a lot over the years. I've lived in Myrtle Beach now since 1998. And before I moved here, basically it was Labor Day was the end. And it would start again basically Memorial Day. Then it started to be more towards April. Then it was towards March. Nowadays, really and truly, I would say the start of it is basically beginning the middle. Yeah, well, even before that, beginning the middle of February.
Oh, you'd say February.
I mean, soon as the sun starts to get up and the ground's above, temperatures are above 50 to 60 on a regular basis, the golf courses start to get traffic.
True.
And soon as that, I consider that the start of the season. And what I have seen is that runs nowadays basically up till Thanksgiving. And then you have this weird thing that happens the week of Christmas, from Christmas Day to New Year's Day, that everybody and their aunt and uncle comes on vacation down. I remember this from the back in the days when I worked in the restaurants. I'd have days where I'm making $15 to $20 a day in tips. And then that week I'd make $150 every night. But New Year's night, New Year's Eve, done again. Mm-hmm. So honestly, to be honest with you, we're kind of becoming a year-round destination these days, where people are coming almost year-round. We have a little bit off between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So if you want to visit and be able to get into places without the least amount of wait, that's probably the time I would come. Caroline says, I'm an ICU and haven't seen COVID for a while. She works in Rockville, Maryland. Question. Honey reptiles. That's kind of an interesting thing too. Been considering buying a lot at Waterbridge gated community location to build a home. Was wondering if you could speak on Waterbridge and perhaps make a video on it. Honey, I've already made a video on Waterbridge. I'm going to actually post a link.
You almost got arrested.
No, I didn't for that. That was something.
Yeah, I thought that was Waterbridge.
No, that was for a different time.
Oh,
but there's a link I just posted in the chat that you can check it out later on Waterbridge. It is a great community. It probably has some of the absolute nicest amenities of anywhere in the county.
It's my favorite. It's beautiful.
The pool is absolutely amazing. We got the privilege once. It's probably 4 years ago now, I'd say, because Miriam's now 6. One of her friends was having a second birthday, and they did it at the Waterbridge Amenity Center. And so we got to take the whole family, go to the pool there, swim, and have a fun day in the pool there. And it is absolutely amazing. It's a great location, centrally located, just about anything in the area to get around. But yes, and it has great security too, as well as a gated entrance. We're not going there. We're not going there. Herb says, thank you. Caroline wants to know, what about water adventures? Go for it.
Okay, I've got one that I want to take my kid to so bad, and we've already got tickets. We just haven't been able to go yet. It is it's actually, I think it's called Blackbeard's Pirate Adventure. It's a pirate ship, or it's a boat that they have like dressed up to look like a pirate ship, and you go down the inlet, and they tell this whole story, that there's pirates on these waters and things, and people drive up on jet skis or something, and you shoot them with water guns. It's ridiculously cool, and my kid's obsessed with pirates. Her birthday party in June was pirates themed, and it's just way too much fun to not do.
one of the girls who works for my office, or works in my office, I should say, her daughter works for that.
Oh, does she?
Works for them. Yep. One of the cool things that we took a water trip, a tour, water guided tour, I guess, was out of Socastee, where we went through the Black Creeks and all that down in the area. Yeah. It was I think it was like Black River Adventures or something that was called, but it was really cool. My wife had found it. My daughter too, when she was, I think 4, wanted to go out on a boat. And so we took her on the boat. I wish the pirate ship was around then, because it wasn't, because about probably 15 minutes into the trip, she was bored because it wasn't exciting enough and adventuresome for her. And so she's like, Mom, I'm bored. When are we going to be back? We're like, honey, we have 45 minutes left on this tour. Sit down, enjoy it. Just sit down and watch. Just go along with it. But it was really cool because it kind of went through the history of the area. We got to see some gators. We got to see some ospreys and things like that. And kind of it went through why the rivers in our area are black versus other parts of the country, and all that kind of stuff. All right. This is the link for checking out Waterbridge. Honey says, thanks so much. Went back a year and watched nearly all your videos. Couldn't find anything on it. Been really appreciating all your informative videos on Myrtle Beach. Coming down from New York. When you're ready to make the move, shoot me an email, info@jeremyblanton.com. I'll help you make the move as easy and as simple as possible. That's what I'm here. That's what I do for a living. Tess wants to know, where can you go see wild gators? Honestly, you don't have to always go too far. Depending on some of the neighborhoods, you can. My neighborhood I live in had some in it. Yeah. I've seen wild ones down at Brook Green Gardens before. I've seen them if you go over into Huntington Beach Park. It's not uncommon to find them sometimes crossing over the road in Huntington Beach. If you just want to see a lot of gators, take a trip to Alligator Adventure. You will definitely see an alligator if you go there.
There was actually every once in a while, it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while there will be one that escapes through the sewers in Alligator Adventure and will make it out into the ditch on the side of 17. It's the craziest thing. You're like, there's cars flying by, and then right there on the side of the road is an alligator just sunning. It's crazy.
Yep. The thing that people don't realize about alligators, and this is what I've been told from going on, a lot of those tours at Alligator Adventure and listening to the guys that feed them all the time, as a whole, alligators are extremely lazy animals. They do not want to have to work hard for their food. So instead of running after you to catch you, they'd rather just lay there and wait until you stumble and trip on them, and then they'll open their mouths and eat you. I mean, that's how they get most of their food. They're too lazy. I mean, they have to, at Alligator Adventure, to get them to come and eat, they take the metal buckets and they bang them on the boardwalk that they're on to make noise. And they've learned over the years, when they hear that noise, come to eat, and they'll try to get them to do some tricks. But most of the time, they don't even want to do it. Oh, I see what you have there. I need to show this.
Yeah, check this out. That's what that's what an alligator at Huntington Beach State Park looks like. That was taken by a friend of mine, Austin Bond, who's another pastor in the area. But just crazy, and you'll see that often. That's That's like something you expect to see when you go to Huntington Beach State Park.
Yep. Exactly. So yeah, good question, guys. We're enjoying the questions. If you have some more, throw them at us. If not, we're probably going to wrap this up soon. Jared, can you believe we've gone for 2 hours?
Yeah, I know, man. It's
Of
been
course. I mean, I have trouble
it's been
talking.
fun.
I have trouble talking, and I know you do too.
Yeah,
so
I know. You've been
hence why
blessed
we're
and
at
cursed with the gift of gab, my friend, as have I.
hence why we're at this point. Let's see here. What else do we have? Let's go back to here. I've heard that. Is it a fun thing? It is a fun thing for kids and families. Yeah, I think she's referring to the Blackbeard pirate cruise thing you were talking about. Tass says, that's cool. I love gators. I joke when I say sometimes you can find them in your development. I used to live in a development down on the southern end of the beach. You actually shot a home in that development for me, Cameron Village, and they have several ponds. And my kids went around and named the gators that we had, because there's a couple of them. But what people don't realize is these gators, this was their home way before then, and they will travel miles and miles and miles to go back to their home where they were born, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if one is captured and they relocate it, unless you take it super, super far away, they're going to just go right back to where they were. No, it happens all the time. So let's see here. What other questions do we have? Goval says, thanks for a great show. Glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got some good information out of it. We'll give them another minute or two to see if anybody else is typing. Somebody might be a slow typer. Jared, do you have another useless fact of history of Myrtle Beach?
Sure, absolutely. This is a fun fact that I like to, bring up. I'm actually from a town called Conway, which is just west of Myrtle Beach, and we're kind of, for the most part, we were the only way in and out other than Highway 17, which goes all the way way up north. So 501 comes straight through Conway, and you've got to just sit in bumper to bumper traffic. But what most people don't know is that Myrtle Beach was actually started by two guys from Conway. There was the Burroughs and Collins Company. Their plaque is still up on Main Street in downtown Conway, and they are the company that started development that brought commercial, businesses and even development of residential homes and stuff to Myrtle Beach. And it took a very, very long time for all that to happen. I remember taking my grandfather down 501 even maybe 15 years ago. And, we're just in the middle of a conversation and he just stops talking. He's like, I don't know where I am, because things changed so quickly. Lakewood Campground is another example. That was a place that's been there for a very long time. And one night we're actually at I think Miyabi's in Merle's Inlet. And it's like a Benihana style restaurant where you're sitting at a table, but if you have a small party, you're sitting with other parties too. One of the people we were sitting with was actually a woman whose last name was Perry. She grew up in the Lakewood Campground because her parents owned it. And she said that, I was a really pretty girl growing up, but I could not get a date to save my life. And I was like, well, why in the world couldn't you get a date? And she said, nobody wanted to drive out that far. And now it's in the middle of everything. And it was considered too far of a drive. It's crazy.
Well, you mentioned Miyabi. Now I have to share a funny story. So for my birthday, I believe it was about 3 years ago now, my grandmother had a birthday. Hers was the day after mine. And so we would always go out and celebrate together as a big family. So for our birthdays that year, we went to Miyabi. And of course, if you go to Miyabi, you got to go for the early bird special, save that money and get all the same food. And so when we got there, it was my wife, the three kids, my grandmother, and my mother. And so the way that we sat around the table, you sit in a U around the table, it just happened that Catherine and one of my youngest child was down at the far end of the table. I was sitting on the exact opposite end, and then my mother was next to me with my son next to me over here, and then in between my mother and my grandmother was my oldest daughter.
Mm.
And so, of course, Catherine told them it was my birthday. And, they come out with the drum, and they do the whole thing. And the guy says, "Oh, sir, stand up, kiss you. Says, dance for us, dance for us, dance for us." I was like, okay. So I stood up, did a little dance. And then he's like, "Oh, thank you." And he's banging on the drums and says, "Okay, now kiss your bride." And points to my mother. And I go, "That's my mother. That's my wife down there." He did not. He felt very bad after the fact, to say the least.
That will severely limit the amount I'm willing to tip you.
Yeah. Now, in my mother's defense, she looks very young for her age. She does. But my mother is older, on the verge of like the 70s soon here in the next few years. Whereas my wife is in the mid-30s. A little bit, But anyway. I digress. Let's see here. Going back to the questions and all. Here's a good one. Where is your favorite spot to go get coffee? Where do you go to get caffeinated?
Okay. All right. There's two. I've got and they're like on opposite sides. So you've got Boardwalk Coffee House, which is downtown Myrtle on Ocean Boulevard. There's also one in Barefoot Landing, but the one in downtown is the one I like the most. Shout out Michelle. She works there. She's awesome. You just got a great view, good coffee, and just good people. And if you go into Conway, you're going to find C3 Coffee House, which is owned by Rock Church, which are some friends of mine, and they roast their own beans, and it is fantastic. I'm not really a coffee drinker, but when I met up with a buddy of mine named Dylan who works there, he was like, "Hey, what do you want? What do you want to drink?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not really a coffee drinker." And he's like, "Well, you've never had ours." I'm like, "Let me make you something." So he made me something, and honest to God, it was like the best coffee I've ever had in my life. It was fantastic.
And my answer to that question for my favorite caffeine spot is probably the Murphy Express or the Circle K, where I can get me a Mountain Dew.
I was about to say, wherever they sell Mountain Dew, that's where you are.
Because I'm not a big coffee drinker, although I have matured in my older age to where I will now do once in a while an iced coffee, but that's really shouldn't count as coffee because it's more sweetness and milk than anything. Doug says, great content. I guess this is what Myrtle Beach is the number 3 area to live in vacation, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, where do we get the real homemade biscuits and not frozen?
Okay.
I will say this first. Fast food, Bojangles.
Yes, that's okay. Absolutely. I'm glad you said that because so many people don't realize how awesome Bojangles is. Like, that's a real biscuit. Like, that's real food. That didn't come in a frozen bag.
Nope.
So I would say, if you're just trying to find something fast, Bojangles. If you want like the more flat Southern style biscuits that aren't like the huge cat head biscuits, but I'm a big fan of like the flat, lard or shortening kind of biscuits. And you can find those at Magnolia's. You can also find them at a place called Big D's in Conway, and they are awesome.
I found some just the other day, last Friday actually. Somebody from the office took me to lunch over right near our office here. It's called, I think, Cypress Grill or Cypress Tavern.
Yes.
It's brand new. And they had some biscuits with cheese and something else in them that you could tell they were homemade. And they were served with soft butter. And then they had a jam, but I would skip it. It was like a lavender jam. It had a really bad aftertaste. We all went, it feels like we have soap in our mouth. But the butter with the cheese and all that was where it was at. All right. Herb says, thanks, J&J. Hey, we're J&J.
Yeah.
Enjoyed you guys tonight. Good night from Middle Village, Queens, New York City.
Representing Queens.
Surfside Gunny, she likes you Pirates.
Pirates are awesome, man.
Sorry you missed the beginning, Debbie. If you have questions, please ask them now. We're still here for a couple more minutes. Ask what you want. Tell us what you'd like to know, and we can either recap it or answer it if we did not. Taz says, haha, I think that was maybe to my favorite place to get caffeinated.
Maybe. Or no, I think it was your story about the hibachi place.
Oh, maybe it could be that too. I gave a lot of funny ha-has there in a few moments.
You're a funny guy.
You know, I am related to a mushroom. I'm a fun guy.
You know how you can tell it's going to be a dad joke?
Oh, geez.
It's apparent. Okay, you can't tell the fun guy joke and then look at me like that.
Well, since we're talking about Myrtle Beach, do you know why golfers wear 2 pairs of pants?
No.
In case they get a hole in one.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, we're going downhill. Tammy says, thank you. No, thank you, Tammy. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see here. What's this one say? Any word on decimalizing or medical marijuana? I don't think it's going to happen here anytime soon. I know that
we're going to be slow on the uptake there.
I heard rumor the other day that there's a gentleman who's going to be running for governor the next time the governor is up. And when he does that, one of his big sticking points is he's trying to legalize marijuana here in South Carolina. But like we said a few minutes ago, we are the buckle of the Bible Belt. And so I think it will be a slow process to happen in our area. Debbie says, well, that was terrible English, wasn't it? Not probably. Your secret beach access. Ooh, that's a good question. Where do you grab the wife and baby and go to the beach?
Not telling you. No, I'm kidding.
If we tell them, they'll take all our.
That's what I'm saying. I can't.
It'll be no longer a secret.
Sure. There's a couple that I find really good. I will say, first off, unless they have changed the rule, which I don't think they have, North Myrtle is the place to go. And the reason I say that is because there is no charge for parking. It is free to park in a public beach access in the city of North Myrtle Beach. So you don't have to, keep feeding a meter or just let it get there, charging your card every hour. That's always really helpful.
Okay.
I would say, as a local, I can't do that because it's a secret.
All right. You think about it a minute while I share mine.
Okay. Share yours.
The place that we go over and over all the time is we go right down to the Golden Mile. We're going right down in the middle of Myrtle Beach, in the heart of the city, where all the $1 million homes sit. Why? Because it's not an area that's filled with resorts. So there's no tourism, and the tourist there is very, very minimal. Every 2 to 3 houses, there's a public beach access that you can go to and park. If the one you pull up to is full that day, you drive down another few houses and there's another one. And if that one's full, you go to the next. But each of those places usually holds 15 to 20 cars. It's very minimal parking. My wife was actually there earlier today, and she can probably post what it cost. But they went down for a little while to the beach. Normally, what she used to do, and she goes to the beach very often, during the school year, she would take the kids to the bus stop. Once the kids were off to the bus, she'd come home, grab her belongings, and drive down to the beach. And as long as you're there before 9 a.m., it's free. And I believe it's after 6 p.m. It's also free again. But she would go down, 7:30, stay till 9:30, maybe later, and it would cost maybe $1 or $2 to do it. It's really cool the way they've kind of set it up now. It's not like your old school meters where you have to go back and feed the meter and put quarters in it anymore. They now have apps set up. You download the app. There's a QR code you scan when you get there. You put your input in your payment information, and then you hit start. Go down to the beach, enjoy your time. When you leave, you hit stop. And so we go down to Golden Mile regularly because there might be 50 people on the beach there at the time, and it's just an awesome area to kind of spread out. My children are not always the quietest, and so we like to allow them to have a little more space when we have to correct them.
Fair.
All right. So where's your secret spot now?
I have one I'm willing to give you. I'm not. There's one I can't give you because I'm parked illegally and it's just not going to work well.
Oh, jeez.
But
Give them ones that are legal, please.
yes. Okay. All right. So all right, man, I gotta think about your old neighborhood, bro.
Where's that?
Briarcliff Acres.
But you can't go to the beach there unless you live there.
I thought that was a public beach access there.
No, that is
Okay.
private.
Well,
no,
then I only go to the beach illegally.
Jared does not go to the beach legally unless he goes to North Myrtle Beach. So
yeah,
you have to stick with my answer. But if you want a private beach, there are a few in the area. Debadoo down on the southern end is one for sure. And then you also have Briarcliff Acres, which has basically about a 3-mile stretch of the beach. It's really awesome. We actually, when I used to live in that development, had a friend who got married there. There was like 5 other people on the beach that day. And because they live in the development, they saw that we were setting up to do a wedding. They, instead of just going straight down at the axis, they just walked down simply, 1,000 feet or so and gave us some space. And it was really awesome.
I would say, by the way, like if you're coming down here on vacation or whatever else and you decide to stay in Surfside, don't go to the beach in Surfside. Like go pick up and head somewhere else because there's so much congestion like right there in the city of Surfside, all those big houses that hold 15, 20 people and they all go down to the beach at the same time. Like we went down there like around July 4th just to watch some fireworks and stuff. Dude, it was like Mad Max in the Thunderdome. Like it was just, I mean, it was scary, man. Like the only thing scarier than drunk people in the dark is drunk people in the dark with fireworks.
All right. Caroline wants to know any ghost stories. We did talk about those earlier. Definitely go back through. Alice Flagg is probably one of the more popular ones for our area.
Alice Flagg, the gray man, for sure.
Taz is ha-haing us. He loves our dad jokes. Caroline asked again, classic ghost stories. We went over that. My mom was sick, and it was a big help, Brian said.
Oh, the medical marijuana.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, though, there are great hospitals here in the area if you need it. One thing I would say is this. If you have a major medical emergency, and I share this with people all the time, don't waste your time going to South Strand. Don't go to some of the other smaller ones. Just have them take you straight to Grand Strand Medical. That is probably the biggest hospital in the area. Conway's pretty good. Down on the southern end, you have Waccamaw. Up on the northern end, McLeod's coming in, and also Tidelands Health is coming. If it is something cardiac related, don't go anywhere but Grand Strand. Grand Strand's probably one of the top cardiac hospitals in the country.
Yeah.
Yep. What do they show at the Alabama Theater? The Alabama Theater does like a how would you put it? A top music show. It's a variety show.
A black box theater that does like a music variety show with dancing and musical acts.
Yep, Carolina Opry is very similar. They both do kind of the same thing. My wife loves the jokes. That's because she loves me and likes you. Debbie went, Alabama. Best beaches I hear the locals go to is either never or during the off season. Well, that does hold a little bit of truth.
True.
We're working.
I would say for the most part, I don't go to the beach unless I'm working.
Yeah. I try to go down once every few weeks. But I personally, I'm not a big fan of sand in between my toes. I'm weird like that. That sand between my toes, that grittiness, just ugh. And so I don't go to the beach very often. My wife did say it's only a couple bucks to go for a few hours, but if you go before 9 a.m., there's no charge for parking. I found a free beach near my resort, but only 20 parking spots off of Ocean Boulevard. Must have been up in North Myrtle Beach, I'm guessing. Because, in Myrtle Beach, you have to pay parking now. Here's a good question for you. Who do you think has the best hush puppies?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a hush puppy guy. That's usually like something that accompanies seafood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not exclusively, but it's usually with seafood, and I don't eat seafood, so.
I believe it's Sea Captain's House that has them with honey butter, They're pretty good there with that honey butter.
I was
Mr.
trying to
Pitt
look
has
up
some
what was
too.
going on at the Alabama Theater. There's a, One is the name of their show, One the Show. But they also have things like, Diamond Rio is coming through, and then BG's or BG's Gold, I'm assuming is some kind of, there's a lot of like tribute acts. But.
Yeah, for sure. What are hush puppies made of? They come with everything. When you go to the seafood restaurants, they serve it with a lot of the seafood plates for sure. But can you explain to people what they are?
I mean, it's cornmeal, right? Isn't it
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much fried.
It's like deep fried cornbread, basically.
Basically, yep. Had many hush puppies with honey butter.
Something to put butter on, man. It's good.
They're hot. They're served with butter.
Yeah, crunch, butter. It could be a shoe for all I know.
Dough.
Yeah.
Carbs.
Yeah, it's just carbs wrapped in carbs.
Yeah, but going back to the Alabama Theater a minute, their normal show they do is called One, and it's a variety act. It has some singing, there's some dancing, so they're going to do popular songs probably from the 80s and 90s. They may pull some songs from famous artists that we've heard over the years. Usually they have they used to, I don't know if he's still there, Bogey, I think is his name, who's the
I thought Bogey was part of Carolina Opry.
Oh no, he's at the Opry. No, they had a guy who was comedian there. I remember one of his jokes that he used to tell. What do you get when you combine country with rap? Crap. Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that.
Come on now, that was at least groanable, right? But a lot of these shows, they do also like a holiday show when it gets to the holidays. One thing I can tell you is this: these places are back open again, which is awesome. Jarrett and I, we have a friend. He works at Legends in Concert. He's actually the drummer there, and he's back playing 4 or 5 nights a week, which is so awesome to hear. These places getting back to normal, things coming back. We also have a friend who goes to church with us. He works at the Alabama Theater, and Greg's excited to be back to doing work again. These artists and these people, they were laid off for 15, 18 months. Luckily for someone like him, he had the ability to go out and do some private gigs at some restaurants and things to make some income. But a lot of them, they were off. Debbie says she was in Myrtle Beach, not North Myrtle. Maybe she knows your secret spot.
Yeah,
you'll have to get with her. Taz wanted to know, is it hick hop?
Hick hop, yeah.
Nice. That's actually better than my answer.
That's a real thing. Hick hop is a real thing.
I don't think I want to know.
Good on that.
All right. Brian wants to know, how far is a drive from Charleston?
Am I driving or is Jeremy driving?
Well, and the bigger question is, where are we leaving from?
Fair.
Because if you're coming from the northern end of the beach, North Myrtle Beach, you're probably 2.5 to 3 hours. If you're coming from the southern end, under 2.
Yeah.
If my wife is driving,
about an hour 15.
Other than the speed trap, and you know that exactly where that speed trap is. You don't want to. Yeah. You don't want to get caught in that. No, she says 2 hours. Yep. And Herb says, we love Legends. Blues Brothers rule.
Yeah, Legends is fun, man.
It's pretty cool. If you don't know what that is, the Legends in Concert is they have acts where people dress up and look just like the celebrity. So you may have an Elvis Presley that's performing that night. You might have a Madonna. Tina Turner, yep.
Madonna. Yeah, all kinds of stuff, man.
Yep.
And they're connected to the one in Vegas as well.
Somebody said, Catherine is my kind of driver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, she grew up in northern Atlanta, so she's used to those high speed roads where the speed limit says 55, but you just go with the flow of traffic. According to her. We had to we had to work on that when she moved here. Well, listen, I think I'll give you all about another minute to post anything. Jared, if you have any final thoughts you wanted to share with the crew tonight, And guys, if you enjoyed the information from this native and his wealth of knowledge of useless history of Myrtle Beach, as well as we talking about some things to do, places to eat, all that kind of good stuff, show him some love in the comments as well. And Jarrett, I give you a final thought for a minute. What else would you like to share in closing?
I'd say at this point, like something I really want to share that I think Myrtle Beach always gets a bad rap for is the fact that, people say, oh, there's no culture, you don't have like all these art happenings and things like that, but that's actually not true. There's a lot that goes on here. There's a lot of culture here. But the thing is that you have to find it just like you do in your town. When you're here and like, this is your town and this is where you stay. Everything's moving so quickly. Like when you're here on vacation, everything's moving so quickly. The people beside you, you have no idea where they're from. But when you're local, you stand still long enough to see the things that are moving fast and transient, you also get to mark out the things that are constant, the people that are working and things like that. And you start gaining a lot of appreciation for it. And it's just a lot of fun. You get to see, the culture of Myrtle Beach, because all of our culture is really based around customer service. That's what we do. We serve people. And that's been a really fun thing to grow up in. I mean, as a pastor, like that's what I do for a living. I love on people and share my heart with them. And that's, I don't know. I feel like I don't think I could have grown up in a better place to learn how to do that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. As I shared in a video that'll be coming out next week, hospitality makes up over 80% of the income in our area. It's an over $7 billion industry here in the area. So, there is a lot all revolving around the hospitality industry here for the Myrtle Beach area, and everything revolves around that. All right, let's see here. Some final things. Lynn says he's from New York. Oh, this is a good question, Jarrett. Do you know of a good escape room in the area?
I know there are several, but I haven't been to any of them. I really want to go, but I just haven't taken the time to be able to do it yet.
The thing, kind of a side note, the place my wife wants to go isn't the escape room. Where she wants to go. She wants to go. It's in North Myrtle Beach, I believe. It's a rage room where you can just go and break stuff. I could use a double date to the rage room. Let's go do it. Let's first start at the axe throwing, and then we'll go to the rage room after that. Thank you for the chat tonight. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the live chat. People showing you love, Jarrett. Look at this. Thanks from Stony Point, New York. There's no place like Myrtle Beach area. The story of the hush puppies. Bakers used to toss the dough to the hungry puppies and say, hush puppy. Interesting.
Good to know.
I've made friends with locals on my vacation. I can't wait to move there. Taz, hopefully that move happens for you sooner than later, man. As I've said before, if you need help making a move, I'm always here to help everyone as possible. If you guys have questions about moving to the area, feel free to reach out to me. You can shoot me an email, info@jeremyblanton.com. As for if you would like to ask Jarrett more questions or see him again sometime, the place where you can find this man on a regular basis is at Beach Church, one of the largest churches here in town. You can find him there every Sunday, basically.
Sunday.
You'll see him there on the stage. Jarrett, I appreciate you joining me tonight. Look at the love. It's still coming in from people.
J&J, that's got to stick, bro.
We're now going to be the J&J show. We'll call it that. And if you guys want, we'll have Jarrett back on again sometime in the future. I'm sure I can twist his arm to come join us again sometime and hang out. And, I hate to leave when there's all these people here watching and joining us because I just feel like somebody's typing a question, but they're typing like the sloth from Zootopia. Type of thing. But, guys, I appreciate it. I've kept Jarrett way too long. His wife's going to be unhappy with me. So with that, I say thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jarrett, for joining us tonight. Hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure if you guys got value from tonight, hit the thumbs up on this video. Give it a love. It makes YouTube think this video is more important, and they will share it with more people. And you help me get the word out to more people about moving to the area, and I will really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great night. I will catch you all later. See ya.
Hey guys.